dare you?
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the Fruit Basket Debate Special.
Yes.
Clap for that, you stupid bastard.
I love that.
Yeah.
Clap for that, you
Clap for that, you
stupid bastards.
Clap for that, you stupid bastards.
What is his deal? You're working on your impression of him, aren't you?
It's just like, yeah, it's very toothy, like,
Yeah.
but it's also, I'm working on it. I'll get it. I had that one day where I actually was pretty fucking close. Like, I had it really close. I need to, there's a phrase. I learned this from Frank Caliendo, the guy who like does those really great impressions.
Yes. Yeah.
Where he was talking about how to get into certain characters, and like, so he does a really good Charles Barkley impression. He's like, the word he zeroed in on was terrible, because Charles Barkley says, it's terrible. This is so terrible. And like, that's kind of what got him into the thing. And so I had to figure out what Biden's thing is, because Command Man doesn't work because he's like, so like, it's like a different voice he goes into when he's doing the Command Man. It's like when he's agitated.
He flips on his rage.
Yeah, exactly. It needs to be something that is... actually, I think the clap for that, you stupid bastards, actually might be a good one, too.
Clap for that, you stupid bastard.
And it's like...
Clap for that, you stupid bastards.
But there's also like a hint of like transatlantic in his thing, and kind of like a Humphrey Bogart kind of thing. So it's like, clap for that, you stupid bastards. It's like a very it's like...
pretty good.
So
kind of sounds like Dutch.
We'll figure it out. Thanks, Gio. It's from a video game. It's like I've made several dorky purchases because of the game Death Stranding.
Thank you for the compliment on my hair. It's a little wild today. It's not as neat as I've had it the last few times.
So we should start out by saying we don't know what will happen with the copyright thing. Like, we've made black bars to block out the logos and stuff to see what happens, but we've had it not fuck us up the whole way through. We've had it fuck us up twice. You weren't here for one of them. One of mine did with Dylan, got
That's right,
nuked.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, they're not really doing the thing anymore that happened to us the first time we got nuked, where they were like, you now lose streaming privileges for 90 days.
For 90 days.
They're not doing that anymore. So I think we'll be fine, but I think we'll see what happens. But some things we want to probably show is this is a fucking weird tweet from Biden. So the whole thing has been that Biden's going to wear an earpiece, and then like he denied allowing himself to get checked for it, or like he would not allow himself to get checked for it, and also the drug test thing. And the drug test thing was totally Trump's way of taking the spotlight off of him, because he's definitely on Adderall. So they're both on Adderall.
Yes,
we know this. So like Trump, that was a very good move by Trump to get eyes off of him which makes me think that he is going to be turned up to fucking 11 tonight.
I'm really hoping for that.
Yes.
This is like a pre-game, like the pre-show when you're on I've only seen like football before, but when you're watching like the round table of the dudes commenting on what's gonna happen on stage tonight, this is kind of how it feels. Like we're like expecting a SmackDown, or but I'm really hoping for some excitement. I find it so I find it very unlikely. Well, first off, we should probably talk about the tweet. So so
the Jenny's ice cream thing is so strange, because that's the same fucking ice cream that Pelosi had in her dual industrial freezer,
which I'm pretty sure we covered on the show.
Yeah, it's fucking weird. Like, there's some fucking weird with that ice cream relationship going on with the DNC. So that was like the only really point about it. And I know a staffer took this because Joe Biden would definitely have something better than just the stock headphones that come with his iPhone.
Oh yeah.
Because he's rich as shit. So anyway, it's a clever tweet, but also clearly bullshit, and a sponsorship from that company that clearly pays him.
It says it's debate night, so I've got my earpiece and performance enhancers ready.
Yeah.
As in like poking fun at Trump.
So I mean that's that. What was I saying before that? This one's gonna be very loosey-goosey.
Like hoping that there's some excitement.
Oh yeah. So it's either gonna be one of three things. Like the least likely scenario is that Joe Biden crushes this. I find that highly unlikely.
I think yeah. Go on. Sorry.
The best case scenario is that this is an absolute fucking Adderall-ridden SmackDown that's like of WWE proportions, which I think will probably be the most likely scenario, just because everyone's already made up their mind. Everybody knows who they're going to vote for.
Yeah.
So this is clearly, this is Chris Wallace from Fox. So this is get Fox ratings burst on this, and it'll be like every network will get their ratings boost that is behind whatever part of the binary political system that we are forced to deal with. The worst case scenario is that it's boring. And so I don't think that's possible with Trump. However, like I remember thinking the second debate with Trump where they were standing with like the stool one, like the town hall one, was boring to me when I watched it at the time. Like even though he had like those moments that still get highlighted now, watching it for 2 hours at the time was not terribly exciting. So I'm curious to kind of see what it ends up being. Jenny's ice cream is child trafficking. I mean, probably.
That's what we're thinking. I honestly think that there's some like Jenny's ice cream is the new like cosmic pizza or whatever. What is it? Cosmic?
Where
they had like
it's
I thought it was Cosmic Pizza.
It might be
Cosmic Golf or whatever.
Yeah, the pizza place that the guy shot through the ceiling, where like
the weird like where they had children.
Probably in the basement.
Probably in the basement.
Because like we were all able to be like, yeah, totally, there was like probably nothing there, and then Epstein came out and you're like, there might have been children in there or something. Okay, so Andrew
That's
Yang
what Jenny's does.
Also just continues to sell out.
He's so annoying.
It's really unreal. Like
I used to love him.
There's just no shred of dignity, and it's like, dude, like I get it. I get that you are like a part of this establishment now, but it's like for you to tweet things like this, it's like the nice guy, like cucky thing. Joe Biden stands for nothing. That was all the stuff that was the core part of your platform that you ran on that gained you like a minor groundswell of support. Joe doesn't stand for any of it.
None of it. His tweet says, Joe has been through 11 debates this cycle. He's had a ton of reps.
Yeah.
Shut up. And I was telling you about when Marianne went on his show, or he did like a podcast with her. And for a moment they were talking about how obviously Washington and all of politics in the U.S. is like the good old boys club. If you're in, you're in, but if you're not, sucks for you.
Yeah.
And Marianne called him out, which was really satisfying.
I'm surprised I missed this actually, because
I saw a clip of it. I was actually going to tune in for the whole thing. I just forgot it happened. But I saw it was clipped out where she was like, she confronted him about it. She was like, look, you talk about this as if you're not part of the club, but you've been invited, and they have kept you at the table.
Oh, yeah.
They have not invited me, speaking as Marianne. So what are you going to do now that you have a seat at the table? What are you going to do to make it so that all of America feels that same way?
Right.
And he was just like,
yeah, I mean, he had nothing.
He had nothing,
No.
because he doesn't realize that he is playing into the game.
He does, though. That's what's irritating. Like, okay, so he's already rich. He's already a rich person. And so, like, when someone says, like, do you want a CNN job? No. Because, like,
right.
you now have solidified, like, you are not the outsider candidate anymore. You are now a DNC establishment person.
Yeah.
Which is such a mistake for his brand and his fans and his people. It's such a betrayal to his fans. It was just so ridiculous.
Comet Ping Pong Pizza. That's what it was. Thank you, Gio.
Yeah, I knew Gio would probably know that.
Cosmic
Gio
pizza.
also says Chris Wallace tries to help Biden as much as possible, but it is no use. Trump mops the floor with Biden is my guess. So Chris Wallace was the only one who actually gave a Fox interview with Trump where he was like not letting him get away with shit. So I think that's what's going to be interesting. But so I don't think he likes Trump, which is going to be very interesting. But simultaneously, I think he hates the pants-shitting retard more than Trump. So it's going to be. I think that this is actually probably going to be the most balanced person for this. Surprisingly, I never thought in my 30 years of life I would say that about a Fox moderator.
Yeah.
What did Gio say?
Interesting. By the way, I listened to Hillary's
podcast.
podcast.
Why would you do that?
Have you guys? First episode is called Faith, and she actually thinks people will believe her when she claims her faith is the most important thing to her heart.
Yeah, tell it to the fucking children you
Right, yeah, the children that you're raping.
You know what I was thinking about was like, okay, so
or your husband is.
So like, I mean, you and I, like, you know, we've made it very clear, like, we're politically homeless. The fact that the DNC would still let Bill Clinton speak there, it's like, seriously?
Yeah,
Seriously.
it's such a joke.
So, shit, the sun's gonna be a little bit on your back of your head, but
yeah, I don't know if there's anything we can really do about
no, unfortunately, because it would block the
AC
thing. Jesus Christ, that's so ridiculous. I hate her. Oh, she's apparently giving like a pre-show thing
right now as we speak. She's doing a half hour of a pre-debates thing with who? What was it?
Who cares?
You sent me a picture. It was like
can you
CNN
like
or something.
Probably CNN or MSNBC. I mean, can you imagine just the like 35 something white women drunk on Chardonnay just finger blasting themselves while they're listening to her talk. Like,
did you see the photo of those marathon runners dressed as Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
Yes, I did. What is wrong with
white women?
What is wrong with women? I mean, like, what is going on?
Just extinction. Just fucking. I want to fucking slam my hand down on that white women extinction button.
And I have so many women in my life that I love dearly, but it's like there's something about, I think I know what it is. I've said this on this podcast before, but I said to my parents, and it was like this aha moment to them. Is I'm like, Republicans are the masculine, and Democrats are the feminine. Mm-hmm. It's like the masculine is pragmatic to a point to where it starts to not care about compassion, and the feminine is so compassionate that it starts to forget about the pragmatism. Mm-hmm. It's like, and so you need both of these things for a society to work, right? And I think that the problem with this election cycle is when Trump won, they wouldn't accept it. Like, they wouldn't accept that it won, or like that they had made mistakes that led him to become the president in the fucking first place. So it's that thing of like, they have never accepted that, and because that, like, the cultural shift of Hollywood, nearly every news network, every late night show, every bit of media has become the absolute id, Freud's id of the feminine. And so they've been living in the feminine, and so they think that when they have these grand gestures of like doing a marathon as RBG is like cute or interesting or like brave, but it's like, no, you're doing exactly what the whole world is telling you you're allowed to do.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's almost like people pretending that like putting Black Lives Matter on your thing is subversive. It's like, no, that is mainstream. In fact, like, not doing it is actually more punk rock, because your friends are judging you silently if you don't, which is why I fucking dipped out of Instagram. I'm like, nope, I'm not going to get silently judged by my friends for not doing this.
Right.
Blackout Square Day or whatever.
Yeah, dude. Ugh.
I can't believe Gio did that. That is like a level of masochism.
Listen to Hillary's podcast.
Dude.
And we were talking about Michelle Obama's podcast, thinking of how terrible it would be.
Yeah, like who wants that?
Yeah, exactly. It would be. It's 10 times worse than listening to Michelle Obama's podcast.
Yes.
I imagine.
Yeah, I imagine it's probably pretty horrific, especially like just like because to Michelle's credit, she at least has she has like a nice voice. I mean,
yeah.
Hey, Queen. Girl, you have
fantastic.
done it again. Constantly raising the bar for us all. And doing it flawlessly. I'd say I'm surprised, but I know who you are. I've seen it up close and personal. Girl, you make me so proud.
Mm-hmm.
And I love you.
And I love you.
Mm-hmm.
That is...
Just clap for that, you stupid bastard.
Look, like, she has a great voice. She's also, like, very educated in terms of traditional education. So, like, she might have input on things, but I really don't care to hear what she says about politics right now.
Her and her husband are politicians that were selected out of central casting. Not too black.
Right.
Just black enough. Just black enough. Just fucking cool enough, but still kind of nerdy enough to not scare off like neocons.
They were very strategic.
Very strategically placed. And like, in fact, it was funny when they were at the DNC in 2004. I saw Biden give a speech, or no, I'm sorry, Obama give a speech. I'm like, that guy will be president. Like, certainly. I mean, it's definitely going to happen. Like, that's who they're vetting to be president.
Yeah.
If you watch that speech too, it's stunning to watch. I mean, with some hindsight though, I mean, maybe not, because you can't like not color your opinion of him based on his horrific legacy. But I don't know. How do you think it's going to play out? Like, what do you think Trump's chances are? Like, do you think he'll overshoot? Like, what do you think will happen?
I think he's going to try and go in guns a-blazing, but he's going to see that Biden's not in good shape, and he'll have to dial it back so it doesn't look like he's fucking bullying him.
But I think that Trump's empathy is like this big.
But no, he's going to do it in terms of like, I don't want this to look like elder abuse. And my elderly voting base is not going to like it if it does.
And he's already kind of lost them because of the coronavirus thing, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But what's interesting and what makes me think that he'll still go guns a-blazing is that Hillary and him were friends. Like, friendly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he did not give a shit. And so, I don't know. It's going to be... Unless this is all a fucking giant scam, and this is just all them playing us, and it's all one giant party, which is probably the most likely scenario, to be honest.
For sure.
And this is just exactly what I said, which is like a ratings bonanza.
Right.
This is everyone's watching this. Everybody. I mean, this is probably going to be the most watched debate in the last 25 years.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. Because I think that people are going to people that wouldn't normally tune in are tuning in for the meme value.
Wow. I really hope it's as exciting as it seems it will be.
Yeah. I mean, who knows how long the retention will be. Gio says Hillary has no enthusiasm, and at the end plugs the guest book. She's like, well, if you want to hear more of XYZ, then buy this book called XYZ. I mean, yeah. I mean, she...
Who was her guest?
I don't know. Probably some fucking feminist author or some stupid shit. I don't know. Gio would have to tell us. But I mean, that's the thing. Is like, I don't really... Like, Pete Buttigieg started a fucking podcast as well.
Who is listening to these things?
I mean, it's a bunch of resistance wine moms. I mean, I think that must be the only... Because, like, most... Like, other than Pod Save America, every podcast, even on the left or right, is going to, like, push your boundaries, and say some shit that you don't want to hear. And so... Which is, like, what I keep trying to make it clear. Like, you need to consume content that you don't agree with, because you'll get a perspective that, will give you at least insight into what the other side is thinking. So... And we're glad you're watching it with us too. I know that probably like a lot of people are just gonna want to watch it on their own. But if you're home alone, this might be kind of a more fun way to do it, because we're all friends here. Or whatever.
And then as a reminder, we're gonna take tomorrow off because
Yes.
we're doing today. We both got stuff to do.
Yeah, we both have stuff to do. I don't know if we'll get the channel nuked temporarily after this. Since I don't really, I don't really want to worry about it.
Right.
But yeah, I guess we will see. I did have a debate hashtag. I don't think it'll cause a problem, because I do want randos to come in. So
of course,
that's kind of the thing, because like that was our bread and butter of
They'll
like
see a
how
live
we
stream,
even got to the amount that we have.
I think that's how a lot of people who stick around found us.
Red Mage says he's already stoned. Good for you. I was telling somebody on my telling a friend of mine that I wish I could get high just indiscriminately and like do this. It's impossible though. There's no fucking way. No way.
I don't even get recreationally high.
Not
like
anymore,
I'm wondering.
I think I probably do more than you.
Try because it's been years.
You should get one of those things I have, just a pen. Yeah.
Yeah. It has been years since I've had any kind of weed. So I don't know, maybe. And it's so easy now. Like, I haven't smoked since before California made it legal for people 21 and over.
Wow.
Yeah. Since then, I have not taken the opportunity to just be like, oh, I could get it without a fucking prescription or anything.
Yeah.
So.
I remember when I went and got it, like when they still had the prescription law, and I went in and got it, and they're like, I like, when I fucked up my back, I had like the MRI thing, and I'm like, you know, evidence. He's like, just takes it, throws it on the table. He's like, do you have insomnia? I'm like, yeah. He's like, all right, that's cool.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Do you have insomnia?
I wonder what happened to a lot of those doctors that were just doing that, because like the guy's office that I went to, it was like, I don't think you're an actual doctor. It looked like Trump's doctor. Remember the guy with the fucking long hair? He looked like Trump's doctor looked like the guy in Independence Day, the doctor who gets like all fucked up.
Oh my
Didn't he
God.
look like that? Like the one who gets choked
dude.
out in the fucking thing.
Yeah.
And the alien talks through him.
Have we talked about Independence Day on this podcast?
I don't know if we have or not. Where Will Smith knocks out the alien's outfit. Welcome to Earth, bitch. Punches his suit.
God.
And knocks him out somehow.
Yeah.
And
also, I need to say, I have a really terrible split lip. So if I seem like I'm scowling or frowning, it's because I am. I can't smile as big as I usually do, so you guys don't get to see my big, beautiful, white teeth.
When we hung out with Perry in person the other day, I'm sorry, I know, I feel very badly about you.
No, that's okay. I'm just letting people know.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
We hung out with Perry in real life the
other day.
Or other week, a couple weeks ago.
We had like over a month ago.
Was it really that long?
Yeah, it's been forever. Time flies.
Sorry, Perry.
We gotta hang out again.
Yeah, we will, for sure. Perry didn't strike me as somebody that would smoke weed. It was kind of surprising to me. I was like, really? Really, you do?
Yeah.
It was strange to me that like he would and I wouldn't. For some reason that was like an odd.
Yeah.
Like neither of us really do. I really do wish I had an appetite for it though. I think I would drink less, which would be like great.
Yeah.
But because like I think it can fill a lot of the voids that drinking accomplishes for a lot of people. This guy.
Oh yeah, he's a nightmare. You guys can't see him, but
it seems like the stimulus thing is gonna happen.
Yes. So they introduced last night. They introduced the second stimulus bill.
Heroes Act 2.0.
Yeah, it's gonna be what 3.7. No, 2.4 trillion.
2.4 trillion, which is so crazy because it's only 2.4 trillion.
Yeah.
It's only 350 billion less than the Republicans were asking for.
Yeah.
Like, or rather more, rather. So, like, the Republicans were, like, there.
Yeah.
They were like, yeah, fine.
Yeah, and so this bill is going to cover the post office, bailing out airlines, whatever. Like,
I know.
Fucking airlines,
well,
who gives a fuck?
Because the thing is, they already had a fucking bailout, and they said they weren't going to lay anybody off, and now they're still going to. So it's like, fuck you guys. Fuck you.
Yeah, fuck the airlines. But they're going to do another stimulus check. They're also extending unemployment, again, for $600 a week.
Until January 1.
Until January 1, which is great, actually.
Yeah, so I'll believe it when I see it, but still, it seems more real than it had for the last, 2.5 months, almost?
I know. People were like the actual Democrats were trying to get fucking Nancy Pelosi ousted.
Red Mage says that they should call it the Superheroes Act. Yes, they should have. Which is funny about that because that was after she said that we're going to impeach Trump over this. And you're like, bitch, you already tried and you fucking failed on that.
Yeah.
Really quickly on Trump's taxes. Anybody who listens to us, which I doubt is any of you, that thinks that Trump should have paid his fair share. Yeah, he should have.
He should have.
But it's not illegal what he did, and you should be asking why it's not illegal. And then you should look at every administration that came before him that wrote those laws that allowed this to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That is way more important than what he paid.
Right.
Amazon pays nothing. Netflix pays nothing.
Yeah.
If you report a big enough loss, you pay nothing in taxes.
Trump is one of hundreds, thousands of corporations and individuals who just do not pay shit.
Yeah. So it should not be a surprise to anybody.
And also the IRS came out today saying look, we would pursue it, but it's easier to pursue poor people. It's easier to audit poor people for their taxes than it is rich people because we don't have the resources to audit rich people.
Different kind of rich though. I mean, it's once you reach the over 100 million thing, that's when because it's through just our fuck tax laws, they are able to just distribute their wealth amongst different banks and just it is if an auditor went in to try to audit Trump or Bloomberg or some of these fucking idiots, it would be impossible to get to the bottom of where the money is.
Yeah.
I think Trump would actually be more obvious than Bloomberg, which I think is why and Bezos too. I think that's why Bezos definitely bought the Washington Post for another thing that's just going to take a loss, which is the channel we're using here, the Washington Post.
Right.
But yeah, it's a giant who gives a shit.
Right.
I had it in our note for the episode because we didn't know this was happening so soon. But who cares? Who honestly cares?
Yeah, and I always see this sort of I see a phrase often used around this time, but it's very applicable right now. It's the system is not rigged. It is working exactly as it's supposed to. I always see these infographics or these little graphics that are Instagram graphics or whatever, but it's true. It's built to operate this way. So we got to change it. We can't say that it's rigged and that rich people just have it so good. It's because they're meant to stay rich.
Exactly.
The laws are written to keep them rich and to, so it's not rigged. It's working exactly for who it's supposed to work for.
Yep.
And that should make you angry.
It should.
Yeah.
But people are too fucking stupid to realize it.
Yeah. Oh, we got to talk about the Red Mage wanted to talk about the dude. I forget his name. Shitting his pants next to Nancy Pelosi. Did you see it?
I didn't.
Oh my god. You have to see it.
I will, but I'm never screwing about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, it's Nancy Pelosi on stage with I don't even fucking remember his name.
How do you know he shit his pants?
He just looks like it.
Oh, okay.
He's taking really short steps to get off the stage.
Is it Schumer?
I don't think it's Schumer.
Oh, it's Jerry Nadler.
Nadler,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah, someone
Nadler.
I know was talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, Nadler,
dude, that guy, talk about a body that is a goddamn disaster.
Yeah.
That guy is all midsection. It's just a fucking he has the body of your 7th grade language arts teacher. It's just that fucking inner tube of a fupa.
Oh my God.
And he's lost weight. He used to be even fatter.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
How old is he?
Too old. Get the fucking olds out of here. Like, what are we doing with these fucking old?
If there's a retirement age, there needs to be like a public service retirement age, you know?
Yes.
Like you can retire at 65, 67 in the US. You're 67.
But how could you possibly still be an objective public servant for more than 8 years? It's ridiculous. Like, you're going.
You don't even keep up with the fucking times.
And if you had less than 8 years, you wouldn't stop taking corporate money to do shit.
Yeah.
So let's get into this.
Yeah.
Let me, and I have to block everything out, and I'll move us. Don't worry about it.
Oh, are you zoomed in a little?
I am.
Oh yeah.
Worked into any of the other existing topics.
Hang on
and
one
also
second, guys.
healthcare.
Yeah.
Coronavirus is one of the topics, but healthcare as a standalone issue is not on the list either. So that's something that Joe Biden
could put our
campaigned
logo
on
over
a
the-
lot. When I was on the trail
We could.
following him during the primary season, that was something that definitely won over some of the voters in the audience when we talked to them, was his history with the NCA.
The
So those
black
are two
box.
issues that I'm listening for that aren't on the list, but I'm sure they might come up in some fashion.
Great, thanks so much, Rhonda. And of course, we have
Sorry,
three
guys,
debates happening this season. We'll also have a vice presidential debate, and we'll be covering that live as well.
I have a feeling though it's
James
going to end up
Hellman,
going
more from
full
you about
screen
the
as soon as
integrity
they.
of the election. Is this an opportunity?
Yeah.
for
So I'll
Joe Biden
save
to
that
go
one,
on
but I
the
think
attack?
that logo will stay.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
And we know that we kind of know what Trump's going to say.
This
here.
dude is who we were talking
You know,
about
I think
earlier.
We got a very clear
Yeah,
sense
just-
of that last
I didn't
week.
really have it. He looks like a what's his
any
name?
kind
The
of
Sixth Sense, like I see
conventional
dead people kid.
presidency, Trump would try to clean up his comments and say, of course, I'll
He's like
respect whoever
Walmart Zach
wins the
Galifianakis.
election, but I'm going to win
Yes,
the election.
dude, that's
You know, no
perfect.
reporter
Exactly.
ever thought that they needed to ask
All right,
Barack
let me
Obama
check the
or
audio
George
on it real
W.
quick.
Bush or Bill
Sure.
Clinton if they respect the results of
While
the
we
election.
listen to this dude droning
But
on.
that's
I know.
not Trump. I think he's going to double down on the rigged rhetoric and something that's very
rigged
concerning to
rhetoric.
Democrats, including someone in the Biden
It's Washington
orbit
Post,
who
so
I
of
talked to earlier today.
That's true.
Is that this could deter people from voting, especially kind of lower propensity younger voters.
Don't vote.
If they believe that
don't vote.
the election is rigged or that their vote's somehow not going to count, or that it's kind of a preordained outcome that the election's going to be stolen somehow from the Democrats, they may not participate at all. So I think
Stolen.
what you'll see is Biden on the attack, but also Biden trying to reassure people about the process, about the validity of voting by mail.
Man,
and
all these
to
people are just so
kind of
milquetoast and
make sure
always.
that
Fucking
the whole election
boring.
process retains a
they get the
legitimate-
least exciting people.
James,
They
we
need like
just saw the Trump
WWE
family
commentators
and the
to do
Biden
this.
family
What,
combined
right, which is
to
like
be seated
what
at
that's
tonight's
Trump. Well, I think
debate.
that's the problem. That's
Emma
Trump's.
Phillips, let's
Right.
go
That's
Trump's
to talk
lane.
about this topic, race and violence in U.S. cities. At the top of our show, our colleague Joyce Coe reminded our audience that even the
All right, I
phrasing
think this
of that
sounds
is
fine.
so
If you
Yeah.
guys have a
got
problem
lot
with it, or
of
you need to
pushback.
you need more volume on them, let us know.
So let's talk about how
Yeah.
Chris Wallace is framing this and how the candidates may talk about it.
Totally.
Yeah, well,
Can we open back up the
let me start with
chat?
Chris Wallace, 'cause
Yeah.
like you said, Libby, he gets to choose these topics. He is largely known as a straight news reporter. His career is not from Fox News on up. He's worked with other major
Sweet.
network stations, including ABC. And as
Almost
Aaron
there, only a
said
couple
earlier,
minutes
he's
out.
given the president
This
really tough
stupid,
interviews.
boring.
But when he came out with these topics, it made Democrats concerned that there was going to be a little bit of, our colleague Jeremy Barr called it Fox News framing in this debate.
Make us
And it's because
smaller,
of the
too.
one you
Yeah, it's
just
a great idea.
outlined. Instead of talking
I
about
need to move us.
race
Oh,
relations
you
in
don't have to.
America as
It's got those
one
magic hands, that magic
massive
cursor.
issue, right? Like we see in polls that it's up there with coronavirus and the economy and healthcare. He's lumped
Wallace
it
is
in
talking,
with
like,
something
why
that
don't
the
you
president
Yeah,
would much
stop
rather
talking.
talk about and
Let
is
us listen.
arguably ballooned up out of proportion, which is violence in American cities. That was probably the bottom line.
Ballooned
for
up
the
out of
National
proportion.
Convention in August
Violence
was,
in American cities.
if you live in the suburbs,
What the
of
fuck does
America,
end- what is
swing voters
language?
think
I know.
wants to reach does,
Let's just end it. Let's
watch
fucking
out,
stop
essentially.
talking.
Some of the
Let's mute our society.
the looting and the rioting,
And
that
like
kinda
that
comes
kind of
out
talk is
riots
doing
at some
Biden
of
no
these
favors.
protests.
Right.
Like just
is
admit
gonna
it's
come
fucking
into
out of
your cities
control.
if you let
It's
Joe
bad.
Biden be
It doesn't look
president.
good anymore.
And so there was some concern among Democrats
Like,
that
cops
to
have been shot now,
put those
like,
together
randomly.
allows the president to avoid talking about this
Oh God.
first very important issue
Keep America
that
great
spurred,
hats.
protests
Who is
across
that?
the
The
nation this summer.
the best
Majority
is yet
was
to
such a
come.
lot
Oh,
of
Did you see
Guilfoyle.
Guilfoyle, yeah,
according
yeah.
to people watching
She's
this.
there.
Gavin Newsom's ex-wife.
And gives him sort of a forward footing to talk about something he'd rather talk about, which is, again, this politics
Jerry
of
Nadler's
race,
only
this
5'3".
politics of race,
Oh, it's
politics
frickin'
of
Frack, the ugly,
danger
the most
in
ugly
your
Trump
community
son.
coming.
Did you hear about him coming out on the
So,
air?
James Hohmann, if
But it
you're
was
Joe
like
Biden,
he
what
just
do you do with
quoted
that?
something different. But he's like my
think you
father
gotta
is like
just
very for the
bring it back to
LGBT
the
community,
core
a group that I'm proud to be a part of, or something.
whole race,
But like he was
the
saying,
referring
like he was saying what they would
America.
say about
that
his
that's-
father, but it sounded exactly like he was coming out of the closet.
Wow.
It was pretty great.
Stupid.
And
5'3" and
kind of
500
project
pounds.
Yeah, he's
that
huge.
when people, kind of whatever
All right,
the
6.
wording
Yeah, enough
is,
of this, dude.
To reassure people that he's steady. The president has spent months saying he's doddering, and I think that's
is.
ultimately what people
Doddering?
come away with.
What is that?
Sort of some
Like doddering
sense
old man,
of
like,
whether he's sort of
it's just
there
like
or
a.
not there just because
I've never
that's
heard
the
that word
expectation
before.
It's kind of old-fashioned, but
It sure
We
is.
saw Melania Trump, the first lady, seated. Rhonda Colvin, it is fascinating to see the Trump family come
But
in
shut the fuck
wearing
up.
their masks after we've seen so many Trump rallies where attendees are not wearing masks.
there's only the one.
That's right,
Like
but I don't think
I've seen all the
this is
ones that are
really up to
outdoors now,
them
then people are
because
wearing
the
them. I think
Democratic
after
Commission
Herman Cain was the Herman Cain dying
said
actually
that
did
everyone
Trump
in
land a
attendance must
favor.
wear
I think.
masks, so,
Uh,
there was no way to get
R.I.P.
political about
Pizza
this. If
Man,
you
but
wanted to
still.
attend and
Yeah.
inside the
Comet
venue,
Ping Pong
you had
Pizza
to wear a
Man.
mask and go through other
Exactly.
protocols,
Herman
as,
Cain was the
our
owner
Joyce
of
Coe
Comet Ping
there
Pong
in
Pizza.
Cleveland said earlier that you have to undergo testing and take other precautions. So we're not seeing mask politics right now.
I've always
but
wondered how they
it's
caption
really
these things
striking
in
if
real
you just sit
time.
and look
Yeah.
at
Because
it
this is
and
keeping
look
up
at
with
the
exactly what
scene
she's
there that
saying.
I think I'm gonna
everyone
turn
is
those
in a
off,
mask.
though.
That brings home that we
Oh,
are
yeah,
in
you
a
can turn 'em off.
pandemic. So again, that gives Joe Biden a little bit of an edge when he can.
I guess the
keep
latency
bringing
on the stream
topics and
is
the
what we're
conversation
seeing,
back to
not what the
President
algorithm
Trump's
is
record
hearing
on the
when it's.
coronavirus,
Yeah.
what he said.
know.
I mean, like
about
I
knowing
like I
about
told you,
the
like when
coronavirus and
we
how
up
deadly it
like
was back in
we upload
February, what he
one,
told
it
Bob
gets.
Woodward.
I speak
I
at a
think,
rapid
this
clip,
is
and it gets
certainly
what
the
I
pandemic
say
is certainly going to be a
fast,
key,
like
Yeah.
with
opportunity
about like a
here for
78% accuracy.
Vice President Biden.
I've experienced. So I've had to
Thanks, Melania.
caption
Well, we're just a moment or
They don't
so
allow that
away
anymore. Have you
from
heard about that? That's their
things.
new
Parting
term.
doing
thoughts
your
from you
own
before
closed
we
captioning.
They don't
watch
allow it
this
anymore.
I
debate
can
get
only
underway.
edit captions that have already been made.
90 minutes of debating. It's hard to believe some of the Democratic debates were 3 hours last year. I think it'll go pretty fast, especially, I think Chris Wallace will bring the conversation along, but these debates are always defined by moments.
We're gonna stick here, Red Mage, just because I already have it open and I have their logo blocked out.
Yeah, it's a little too late for us to try and sort another out.
Something that isn't just the talking.
Unfortunately, it'd be
And then,
nice. if
and
we
then when it
didn't
goes to
have
commercial
stupid
breaks and they try to
commentary.
talk about it, we're just gonna mute them.
Let's
Yeah,
go
yeah.
to Amber Phillips for final thoughts from you before this debate
God,
goes off.
how many thoughts
Yeah,
these
let me
people
focus
have?
on Joe Biden. The president has made
I'm
a
gonna
big
piss
deal
really
for weeks
quickly.
and months over the vice president's
better be
mental
quick.
acuity and clarity, and he
I'm
can't
all
even
alone.
put a sentence together. We've seen in a town hall a couple weeks ago that Joe Biden was able to do that. He had his stumbles, but they
These
paled in
people are
comparison
just
to the
like-
president unable to
They
to
get just the
answer
most
basic
boring.
questions about his
I've
record
what
on
I've also loved
coronavirus,
about
race relations, the Bob Woodward
the movement
revelations
towards
about
doing
how
like
deadly it
phone-in
was.
interviews
And so
like
I'm gonna watch
this
for the contrast
is you
between
get to
those
see the
two.
shitty
president has lowered the
decor
bar
and
so
bedrooms
much
of
for
these
Biden,
people. Look at this.
Doesn't matter.
There's-
He has a couple
There's the
verbal
door
stumbles.
behind her,
And,
a mattress leaning against
is
a
that
wall.
even
Is that what
useful
that
to
is?
the
That's
president
what that looks like to
politically if
me.
The president has his own issues to deal with tonight.
All right, well, thank you so much to Amber Phillips, James Hohmann, Rhonda Colvin, and all my other guests from here in the Washington Post team. The first presidential debate of
Do you
the
mind maybe
2020
like
election
squeezing the
cycle is
curtain
about to
over
begin.
just a
Stick
little?
around
I don't think it'll
afterwards.
be a
We'll
problem
right
for more
here
than
with
like
the
5
panel
more
of
minutes.
reporters to talk
but
through the key
that's
moments.
perfect.
Let's go live now to moderator.
Let's go
Chris
knife
Wallace.
now, she just said. Let's go knife now.
Okay, here we go, folks.
Or maybe not.
Weird. You're on. You're on.
And
Good
yeah,
evening
there we go.
from the Health Education campus of Case Western Reserve University and the Cleveland Clinic. I'm Chris Wallace of Fox News, and I welcome you to the first of the 2020 presidential debates between President Donald J. Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. This debate is sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates. The commission has designed the format, 6 roughly 15-minute segments with 2-minute answers from each candidate to the first question, then open discussion for the rest of each segment. Both campaigns have agreed to these rules.
He's kind of a handsome old man.
Record,
Yeah.
I decided the topics.
He's kept it together.
I think he's got a
questions
good
in each
news
topic.
reporter voice as well.
I can assure
Yeah.
you, none of the questions has been shared with the commission
It's like a throwback.
or the two candidates. This debate is being conducted under health and safety protocols designed by the
We know.
Cleveland Clinic,
Yeah.
which is serving as the health security
Good morning.
advisor to
Sunday
the
morning.
commission
Sunday
for
morning.
all 4 debates. As a precaution, both campaigns have agreed the candidates will not shake hands at the beginning of tonight's debate. The audience here in the hall has promised to remain silent. No cheers, no boos, or
Interesting.
other interruptions. So we. and
Well,
more
it's too small
importantly,
for
you
like.
They will,
can
though,
focus on
still.
what the
Yeah.
candidates have to say. No
Just
noise
clap for that, you stupid bastard.
We welcome the Republican nominee.
I mastered that one a little too
President
loud.
Trump, and the Democratic nominee, Vice President Biden.
Jeez, kind of scared me.
Oh, there he
Oh
is.
my, he is ready. What is that?
We are both on so much Adderall.
Gentlemen, a lot of people have been waiting for this night, so let's get going.
A
Our first
lot of people will
subject
be
is
scared
the
here.
Supreme Court. President Trump, you nominated Amy Coney Barrett over the weekend to succeed the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the court. You say the Constitution is clear about your obligation and the Senate's to consider a nominee to the court. Vice President Biden, you say that this is an effort by the president and Republicans to jam through an appointment and what you call
Oh boy, Trump is
an
fucking.
abuse of power. My first question
Is he ready?
He's
both of
moving,
you
yeah.
tonight. Why are you right in the argument you make and your opponent wrong? And where do you think a Justice Barrett would take the court? President Trump, in this first segment, you go first, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chris. I will tell you very simply, we won the election. Elections have consequences. We have the Senate. We have the White House.
Elections
and
have consequences.
We have a phenomenal nominee, respected by all, top academic, good in every way, In fact, some of her biggest endorsers are very liberal people from Notre Dame and other places.
Adjusting his
I think she's
earpiece.
going to be fantastic. We have plenty of time. Even if we did it after the election itself. I have a lot of time after the election, as you know. So I think that
Yeah.
she will be outstanding.
He's going to
She's
do great.
to
I can
be,
already tell.
as good as anybody that has served on that court. We really feel that. We have a professor at Notre Dame, highly respected by all, said she's the single greatest student he's ever had. He's been a professor for a long time at a great school. And we won the election, and therefore we have the right to choose
He
her.
throws up.
And very few people knowingly would say otherwise. And by the way, the Democrats, they wouldn't even think about not doing it. If they had, the only difference is they'd try and do it faster. There's no way they would give it up. They had Merrick
didn't-
Garland,
yeah.
but the problem is they didn't have the election.
Yep.
So they were stopped.
Yeah.
And probably that would happen in reverse also. Definitely would happen in reverse. So we won the election, and we have the right to do it, Chris.
President Trump, thank you. Same question to you, Vice President Biden. You have 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, thank you for doing this. And looking forward to this, Mr. President.
All right, get to it.
The American people have a right to have a say in who the Supreme
It just
Court
started,
nominee
Greg,
is.
so you didn't miss
And that
anything.
say occurs when they vote for a United States senators and when they vote for the President of the United States. They're not going to get that chance now because we're in the middle of an election already. The election has already started. Tens of thousands of people have already voted. And so the thing that should happen is we should wait. We should wait and see what the outcome of this election is. Because that's the only way the American people get to express their view is by who
But
they
they did.
elect as president.
They voted for
who they
him.
elect
Right.
as vice
Because you
president.
guys lost to a cartoon
Now,
character.
What's
Right.
at stake here is the president's made it clear he wants to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. He's been running on that.
It sucks.
He ran on that, and he's been governing on that. He's in the Supreme
didn't put in the
Court
public
right now
option.
trying to get rid of, the
We're already getting Jordan's
Affordable Care
rapid
Act,
fire comments.
which will strip 20 million people from
9 minutes
having
in.
insurance, health insurance now, if if it goes
Yeah,
in court.
Joe, go vote
And-
for the other guy,
and,
Biden.
Right.
The justice,
Thanks, Kate.
And I have nothing. I'm not opposed to the justice. She seems like a very fine person. But she's written before she went on the bench, which is her right, that she thinks that the Affordable Care Act is not constitutional.
It's not.
The other
The-
thing is
the individual mandate is not. It's
Right.
not.
A mandate is absolutely not.
Women's rights are fundamentally changed. Once again,
Abortion's never going
woman could
away.
be held pay more money because she has a pre-existing condition of pregnancy. They were able to charge a woman more for the same exact procedure a man gets. And
Oh,
that
I'm
ended
nervous for him. This is gonna be
when we
bad.
had
He's already
Affordable
falling
Care
apart.
Act. And there's 100
Trump
million
knows it too.
people
Look at
with
his
pre-existing
face.
Conditions, and they'll be taken away as well. Those pre-existing conditions.
It has been so long since we've seen Trump in
it's
debate
just not
mode.
appropriate to do this.
But he takes
before
these
this
horrible.
election.
Sorry.
If he wins the election and the Senate is Democrat or
The,
Republican,
the questions from
then it
reporters are
goes forward.
every day.
If not,
He
Yeah,
does it
yeah.
every
of
day.
course, February.
There aren't 100 million people with pre-existing conditions. As far as the say is concerned, the people already had their say. Okay.
Yeah.
Justice Ginsburg said very powerfully, very strongly, at some point, 10 years ago or so, she said a president and the Senate is elected for a period of time, but a president's elected for 4 years. We're not elected for 3 years. I'm not elected for 3 years. So we
Yeah.
have the Senate.
You're
we
in
have a
until
president.
January.
He's elected to the next
During
election.
that period of time,
He's
we
president.
have an opening. I'm not elected for 3 years. I'm elected for
He
4
didn't
years.
kill her.
The 100 million
Right.
people, Joe, the 100 million people is totally
Oh, he's
wrong.
gonna
I don't know where
fucking
you got
cream
that
him.
number. The bigger problem that you have is
Oh,
that you're going
the smile.
to extinguish 180 million people with their private health care that they're very
That's
happy
simply
with.
not true.
Well, you're certainly
knows
going
that.
to socialist.
Go
You're
ahead.
going to socialist.
Don't do
we're
that.
now
Don't
into-
do that.
We're now into open discussion.
Open discussion.
Open discussion. Yes, I agree. Go ahead, Vice President.
Number
White.
one, he knows that what I proposed. What I proposed is that we expand Obamacare and we increase it. We do not wipe any. And one of the big debates we had with 23 of my colleagues trying to win the nomination that I won was saying that Biden wanted to allow people to have private insurance. They can't.
a good tie.
They do.
Not to be
They
a total
will under
limperist,
my
but I'm really
proposal.
surprised
what
Joe
you
went
said.
for a
Trump-
black and white
that
tie.
is sad.
Trump is a
Simply
terrible
party
stylist.
doesn't
I mean,
say
terrible.
Party
That is
wants to
simple.
go socialist.
Yeah.
Look at his. It's all
That is
askew.
Party is
and
me.
socialist
right
healthcare.
now, I am
And
the
they're going to
Democratic
dominate
Party.
you, Joe. You know that.
I am
Oh,
the
fuck.
Democratic Party right now. The platform of the
Not according
Democratic
to
Yeah,
Party
and
is
ha-
what
Kate,
I,
yes, and
in
hair
fact,
plugs.
Did he
Yeah.
just say not according to Hillary
what I
Clinton?
approved of. Now here's the deal. The deal is that it's going to wipe out pre-existing conditions. And by the way, the 200,000 people that have died on his watch, how many of those have survived? Well, there's 7 million people that contracted COVID. What does it mean for them going forward if you strike down the Affordable Care Act? And
Joe, you've had
pre-existing conditions?
308,000 military people dying because you couldn't provide them proper health care in the
Fuck.
military. So don't tell me
I'm
about
happy
this.
to talk about
And
this.
if you were here,
Look,
it
here's
wouldn't
the
be
deal.
200, it would be 2 million people because you were very late on the draw. You
Late
didn't
on
want
the
me to
draw.
ban China, which was heavily infected. You didn't want me to ban
All right, gentlemen,
Europe, which
no,
was heavily
Mr. President,
infected. You would have
Mr.
been much
President,
later, Joe.
Mr. President,
Much later.
Mr.
You're
President,
talking about 2 million people.
You're not
Mr.
gonna be able
President,
to
as
shut
the
him up.
moderator, we are going to talk about COVID in the next segment, but go ahead.
Thank you for being here, Kate.
Finish. The point
Holy
is
shit.
that The president also.
Do you think Biden
is
has
opposed
Botox?
To Roe v.
Yeah.
Wade.
Yeah.
That's
And
on
hair
the
plugs.
ballot as well
Yeah.
in the court. And so that's also at stake right now.
Roe v. Wade's never
And
getting
so the
overturned.
election is
It's never going to
already
I know
happen.
it's on the
begun.
ballot.
I-
Why is it on the ballot?
Because
Why is
you
it on the
said
ballot? It's not
you're-
on the ballot.
It's on the ballot in the
I
court.
don't think so.
In the court. Well,
There's nothing happening there.
Yep.
Donald, would
And
you
you
just
don't
be quiet
know
for a
her
minute?
view on Roe v. Wade. You
I
don't
don't
know her
know.
view.
Well, all right, let's talk.
He's spot on.
We got a lot to
Yeah.
unpack here, gentlemen. We got a lot of time, so
He's admitting to his evangelical
on
audience
healthcare.
that like
And
abortion's
then
not
we'll
on the
come back
fucking
to
menu
Roe
with
v.
me.
Wade.
Yeah.
All right.
Mr. President, the Supreme Court will hear a case a week after the election in which the Trump administration, along with 18 state attorneys general, are seeking to overturn
That's right.
Obamacare, to end Obamacare. You have spent the last...
Because they want to give good health care.
If I may ask
Go
my
ahead.
question, sir.
Good health care.
Over the last 4 years, you have promised to repeal and replace Obamacare, but you have never in these 4 years come up with a plan.
Good question.
That is a
comprehensive
fair,
plan
fair
to replace
point.
Obamacare.
Of course I have.
Well, I'll
I
give
got
you
rid of the individual mandate.
I'm going to give you an opportunity.
I got rid of the individual mandate, which was a
That is
big
not a
chunk of
comprehensive
Obama. That
plan.
is absolutely a big thing. That was the worst
I
part of
didn't ask,
Obamacare.
Sir.
Chris,
You're
that was the
debating
worst
him,
part
not
of
me.
Obama.
Let me ask my question.
It only
I'll
affected
ask
and
Joe.
fucked over poor people. I mean, that's all it
The
did.
individual mandate was the most unpopular aspect of Obamacare. I got rid of it.
I'd like you
and
to,
we will protect
Mr.
people
President,
with
I'm the
pre-existing
moderator of this
conditions.
debate, and I would like you to let me ask my question, and then
You
can
can't
answer.
out alpha this dude. It's
You,
it's
in the course of
it's
these
gonna
4
get
years, have
weird.
never come up with a comprehensive plan.
I don't mean that in a
to
flattering way
replace
either.
Obamacare, and just this last Thursday, you signed a largely symbolic executive order to protect people with pre-existing conditions 5 days before this debate. So my question, sir, is what is the Trump health care plan?
Yeah.
Well,
good.
first of all, I guess I'm debating you, not him, but that's okay. I'm not surprised. Let me just tell you something. That there's nothing symbolic. I'm cutting drug prices. I'm going with favored nations, which no president has the courage to do because you're going against big pharma. Drug prices will be coming down 80 or 90%. You could have done it during your 47-year period in government, but you didn't do it. Nobody's done it. So we're cutting health care.
What about
All of the
pre-existing
things that
conditions?
we've done,
He has not cut
insulin. I
healthcare.
give you an example. Insulin. It was destroying families, destroying people because I'm getting it for so cheap. It's like water. You want to know the truth? So cheap.
It's actually true.
Take a
He
look at all of the
subsidized
drugs
like
that
a lot
we're
of
doing,
prescription
drug
medications,
prices.
and like
We're
gave
gonna allow
people
our
like
governors
loans
now
to like
go to
or
other
like or
countries
money to buy
buy
them.
drugs because
When in
they
fact-
pay just a tiny fraction.
As I say,
of
this
what
is
we do.
open discussion.
No,
Let me
but
ask
this
you
is
about.
big.
You'll
This
be
is
happy,
big stuff.
sir. You'll be happy. I'm about to pick up on one of your points to ask the vice president, which is he points out that you would like to add a public option to Obamacare, and
Yes.
the argument
Why
that he
didn't
makes,
you?
and other Republicans make, is that is going to end private insurance.
It is
and
not.
will. I can
Sorry.
ask you the question. It will
Not what
end.
your party says, by the way.
It will end private insurance and create a
He's
government
right.
takeover of health care.
It does not. It's only for those people who are so poor they qualify for Medicaid. They can get that free in most states, except governors who want to deny people who are poor Medicaid. Anyone who qualifies for Medicare would, Medicaid would automatically be enrolled in the public option. The vast majority of the
So,
American
no,
people
you're
would
just
still
subsidizing
not
Medicaid.
be
That's what you're
in
doing.
Right.
That option, number one.
Joe, you
Number
agreed
two.
with Bernie Sanders, who's
I
far
did.
left, on the manifesto.
Well,
we
you-
call
Oh
it.
no,
He
that's
should not
not
do
the
this.
point to go
Socialized
for.
medicine.
Look, hey,
Are you
I'm
saying
not
you
going to
didn't
listen to
agree?
him. The fact of the matter is, I beat Bernie Sanders.
Not by much.
I beat him a whole hell of a lot. I'm
Not by
here
much.
standing facing you, old buddy.
Pocahontas would have left 2 days
Oh,
earlier.
shit.
All he knows how to
on
do
Super
is hurt.
Tuesday. You got
Look,
very lucky.
He's
the deal.
so
I
right.
got very lucky. I'm going to get very lucky
But my
tonight as
blood
well.
pressure.
And tonight I'm going to
With
make
what?
sure because
With what?
here's the deal. Here's the deal. The fact is that everything he's saying so far is simply a lie. I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar.
But you
I just
agree.
want to
Hey,
make
Joe,
sure.
you're the liar.
I want to make sure.
Graduated last in your class, not first in your
I-
class.
What is
I wanna make
happening?
sure-
President, can you let him finish, sir?
No, he doesn't know how to do that. He has,
That was good.
You know,
Surprised.
you picked
You'd be surprised.
the
Go ahead,
wrong
Joe.
guy,
Go,
the
go,
wrong
Joe,
night at
go.
the wrong time.
Listen, you
Ross?
agreed with
Yes,
Bernie
please, thank you.
Sanders to the
The
manifesto.
whole idea.
Let
Now
him.
you're disavowing it.
There
Go ahead.
is no manifesto. Number
Please
one.
let him speak, Mr.
Number
President.
two.
You just lost the left.
Number two.
You
Thank
just lost the
you.
left. You agreed with Bernie Sanders on a plan.
Folks,
that's absolutely
folks,
agreed
do you
to,
have
and
any
under that
idea
plan,
what
you have
this clown's
socialized,
doing?
They call it
Mr.
Medicare.
do you have any
President.
do?
Socialized medicine.
Mr.
Well,
President.
I tell you what.
Yeah, we know what
he
he's
is
doing.
not for any help for people needing health care because
Bernie?
because he in fact already has cost 10 million people.
Yeah,
their
this was
health care
really
Yes,
quickly.
Biffo, you're right. It
employers
totally fell apart.
because of his recession. Number one. Number two,
dude.
there are 20 million people getting health care through Obamacare now that he wants to take it away. He won't ever look you in the eye and say that's what he wants to do. Take it away.
No, I want to give
Number
them better
three.
health care at a much lower price
But-
because
and by the way,
Obamacare
he doesn't
is
know
no
how.
good.
He doesn't know how
I've
to do
already
that.
fixed it.
He has never
I've
offered
already
a plan.
fixed it to an extent.
He has never
Obamacare,
done a
as you
single
might
thing.
know, but probably don't.
Gentlemen, you
Obamacare
realize
is-
that you're
Obamacare
both
without the
speaking at
public
same
option
time.
was useless.
Let the
Yeah.
president. Go ahead, sir.
Obamacare is no good. We made it better, and I had a choice to make very early on. We took away the individual mandate. We guaranteed
all gonna be very
pre-existing
aggressive.
Conditions, but took
I'm
away
feeling
the
Trump's
individual
Adderall
mandate.
energy. I can't help it.
Yeah.
Listen, this is the way it is. And that destroyed, that they shouldn't even call it Obamacare. Then I had a choice to make. Do I let my people run it really well or badly? If I run it badly, they'll probably blame him, but they'll blame me. But more importantly, I want to help people, okay? I said, you got to run it so well.
That's what he's
and
known
I just had a meeting with them. They said, the problem is no matter how well you run Obamacare, it's a disaster. It's too expensive, premiums are too high, and it doesn't work. So we do want to get rid of it. Chris, we want to get rid of it.
I understand it, sir, but I have to give you roughly equal time.
Good.
Please.
Roughly.
The Vice President's watch.
He has no plan for health care.
Of course we do.
He
sends out wishful thinking. He has executive orders that have no power. He hasn't lowered drug costs for anybody. He's been promising a health care plan since he got elected. He has none, like almost everything else he talks about. He does not have a plan. He doesn't have a plan.
What is yours?
The fact is, this man doesn't know what he's talking about.
All right.
He's against
What are your policies, stupid? You've not said one
Mr.
thing.
Vice President, if Senate Republicans, we were talking originally about the Supreme Court here, if Senate Republicans go ahead and confirm Justice Barrett, there has been talk about ending the filibuster or even packing the court, adding to the 9 justices there. You call this a distraction by the president, but in fact it wasn't brought up by the president. It was brought up by some of your Democratic colleagues in the Congress. So my question to you is, you have refused in the past to talk about it. Are you willing to tell the American people tonight whether or not you will support either ending the filibuster or packing the court?
Whatever position I take on that, that'll become the issue. The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote. You're in voting now. Vote and let your senators know how strongly you feel. Vote now.
Are you gonna pack the
Make
court?
sure you, in fact, let people know
He doesn't want
you're a
to answer the
senator.
question.
I'm not going to answer the question
Why
because
wouldn't you answer that
because
question?
the question is
Supreme Court justice, radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe?
This
Who's
is
on your
so
list?
Right. Gentlemen, I think
this
we've
is
ended
so
this.
He's going to pack the court.
We have
not going to give a list.
We have ended this segment. We're going to move on to the second segment.
Oh my God.
Keep yapping, man.
The people understand, Joe.
They sure
47 years you've done nothing. They understand.
All right. The second subject is COVID-19, which is an awfully serious subject, so let's try to be serious about it. We have had more than 7 million cases of coronavirus in the United States, and more than 200,000 people
It's like stressing me
have
out.
died.
Yeah,
Even
I'm really getting
after we produce
sweaty.
a vaccine, experts say that it could be months or even years before we come back to anything approaching normal. My question for both of you is, based on what you have said and done so far, and what you have said you would do starting in 2021, why should the American people trust you more than your opponent to deal with this?
You think so,
public
Red
health
Mage?
crisis going forward? In this case,
well, for an
question goes to you
80-year-old
first,
man.
Sir. 2 minutes.
I think he's close to saying, shut up, you stupid bastard.
200,000 dead. As you said, over 7 million infected in the United States. We, in fact, have 4% of the world's population, 20% of the deaths. 40,000 people a day are contracting COVID. In addition to that, about between 750 and 1,000 people a day are dying. When he was presented with that number, he said, it is
What does it
is.
mean?
Well, it is what it is because you are who you are. That's why it is. The president has no plan. He hasn't laid out.
This is the line he's going to go with the whole time.
He knew all the way back in February how serious this crisis was. He knew it was a deadly disease. What did he do? He's on tape as acknowledging he knew it. He said he didn't tell us or give people a warning of it because he didn't want to panic the American people.
Right.
You don't panic.
Which is the job of the United States president.
What did he do? He went in and we were insisting that the Chinese, the
I'm so
people
curious
we
to
had
see
on
how
the
Trump
ground in
responds.
China should be able to go to Wuhan and determine for themselves how dangerous this was.
They lied.
He did not
They
even
lied.
ask Xi to do that. He told us what
Like
a
he
great
would be
job
honest.
Xi was doing. He said we owe him a debt of gratitude for being so transparent with us. And what did he do then? He then did nothing. He waited and waited and waited. He still doesn't have a plan. I laid out back in March
wrong. The first
exactly
wrong.
what we should be doing. And I laid out again in July what we should be doing. We should be providing all the protective gear possible. We should be providing the money the House has passed.
It's all made in
in
China
order to
because of
be
you,
able to go
stupid.
out
Yeah.
And get people the help they need to keep their businesses open schools that cost a lot of money. You should get out of your bunker and get out of the sand trap and get
out of your bunker
and go in the Oval Office and bring together the Democrats and Republicans and fund what needs to be done now to save lives.
What is that?
So if we would have listened to you,
you have 2 minutes, sir.
if we would have listened to you,
Do you see that
country
look he
would
just
have been
gave
left
him?
wide open. Millions of people would have died, not 200,000, and one person is too much. It's China's fault. It should have never happened. They stopped it from going in, but it was China's fault. And by the way, when you talk about numbers, you don't know how many people died in China. You don't know how many people died in Russia. You don't know how many people died in India. They don't exactly give you a straight count, just so you understand.
Yep.
But if you look at what we've done, I closed it, and you said he's xenophobic. He's a racist, and he's xenophobic.
You did.
Because you didn't think I should have closed our country. Wait a minute.
It absolutely
You
is.
didn't think we should have closed our country because you thought it was terrible. You wouldn't have closed it for another 2 months. By my doing it early, in fact, Dr. Fauci said, President Trump saved thousands of lives. Many of your Democrat governors said, President Trump did a phenomenal job. We worked with the governor.
Even Newsom was working with Trump on this.
The governor said I did a phenomenal job. Most of them said that. In fact, people that would not be necessarily on my side said that. President Trump did a phenomenal job. We did. We got the gowns. We got the masks. We made the ventilators. You wouldn't have made ventilators. And now we're weeks away from a vaccine. We're doing therapeutics already. Fewer people are dying when they get sick. Far fewer people are dying. We've done a great job. The only thing I haven't done a good job, and that's because of the fake news. No matter what you say to them, they give you bad press on it. It's just fake news. They give you good press. They give me bad press because that's the way it is, unfortunately. But let me just tell you something. I don't care. I've gotten used to it. But I'll tell you, Joe, you could never have done the job that we did. You don't have it in your blood. You could have never done that job.
Oh, fuck. I know how to do the job. I know how to get the job
Well, you didn't do very well in swine flu. H1N1, you were a disaster. Your own chief of staff said you were a disaster.
14,000 people died, not 200,000. There was no economic recession.
Sir, you made a
there was no recession.
You made a point. Let him answer.
And there was no one. We didn't shut down the economy. This is his economy he shut down. The reason it's shut down is because, look,
you told him to.
Folks at home, how many of you got up this morning and had an empty chair at the kitchen table because someone died of COVID? How many of you were in a situation
classic,
where you
but
lost
good
mom
move.
or dad, and you couldn't even speak to them? You had a nurse holding a phone up so you could, in fact, say goodbye.
You would have lost far more people. Far more people.
And
you would have been.
And by the way, your own his own
CDC
CDC director says we could lose as many as another 200,000 people between now and the end of the year. And he held up. He said, if we just wear a mask, we can save half those numbers. Just a mask. And by the way, in terms of the whole notion of a vaccine, we're for a vaccine, but I don't trust him at all, nor do you. I know you don't. What we trust is a scientist.
Anti-vax.
Johnson, Pfizer.
Okay,
by the way,
gentlemen, let me move on to
Great.
questions about the future, because you both have touched on two of the questions I'm going to ask. Focusing on the future first, President Trump, you have repeatedly either contradicted or been at odds with some of your government's own top scientists. The week before last, the head of the Centers for Disease Control, Dr. Redfield, said it would be summer before the vaccine would become generally available to the public. You said that he was confused and mistaken. Those were your two words.
Yeah.
But Dr. Slaoui, the head of your Operation Warp Speed, has said exactly the same thing. Are they both wrong?
Well, I've spoken to the companies, and we can have it a lot sooner. It's a very political thing because people like this would rather make it political than save lives. It is a very political thing.
You did it with
I've
hydroxychloroquine.
spoken to Pfizer. I've spoken to all of the people that you have to speak to. We have great Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and others. They can go faster than that by a lot.
I started singing
become very
after
political because the left, or I don't know if I call them left, I don't know what I call them.
So you're suggesting that the head of your Operation Warp Speed, Dr. Slaoui?
I disagree with him. Yeah, no, I disagree with both of them. And he didn't say that. He said it could be there, but it could also be much sooner. I had him in my office 2 days ago.
He talked about the summer, sir, before it's generally available. Just like
he said,
Dr.
it's a
Redfield.
possibility that we'll have the answer before November 1st. It could also be after
when it's
that.
generally available.
Well, we're going to deliver it right away. We have the military all set up. Logistically, they're all set up. We have our military that delivers soldiers, and they can do 200,000 a day. They're going to be
This
delivering
is the same man
It's
who
all
told
set
you
up.
by Easter this would be gone away. by the warm weather, it'd be gone. Miraculous, like a miracle.
The numbers
By the
are
way, maybe
dropping.
you could inject
so.
some bleach in your arm, and that would take care
That's
of it.
not what he said.
This is the
That
same
was
man.
said sarcastically,
That was
you
him.
know that.
I
That was said sarcastically.
And so here's the deal. This man is talking about a vaccine. Every serious company is talking about maybe having a vaccine done by the end of the year. But the
Every major
distribution
company,
of
did he say that?
vaccine will not occur until sometime beginning or the middle of next year to get it out, if we get the vaccine. And pray God we will. Pray God we will.
Mr. Vice President, I want to pick up, though.
You'll have
on
the
that.
vaccine sooner
I want to
than
pick
that.
up on this question, though. You say the public can trust the scientists, but they can't trust President Trump. In fact, you said that again tonight. Your running mate, Senator Harris, goes further, saying the public health experts, quote, will be muzzled, will be suppressed. Given the fact that polls already show that people are concerned about the vaccine and are reluctant to take it, are you and your running mate, Senator Harris, contributing to that fear?
She did.
More than the question you just asked him. You pointed out. He puts pressure and disagrees with his own scientists.
But you're saying
everybody
you can't,
knows.
Senator
There's an
Harris is saying
FDA,
you can't
stupid.
trust the scientists.
No. You can trust the scientists. She didn't say that. You can't trust.
She said the public health
Did say
experts,
that.
quote, will be muzzled, will be
Yes.
suppressed.
Well, that's what he's going to try to do. But there's millions of scientists. There's thousands of scientists out there, like here at this great hospital, that don't work for him. Their job doesn't depend on him. That's not. They're the people. And by
I
the way,
spoke to the
and
scientists that are in charge.
By the way,
they will have the vaccine very soon.
Let him finish.
Do you believe for a moment what he's telling you in light of all the lies he's told you about the whole issue relating to COVID? He still hasn't even acknowledged that he knew this was happening, knew how dangerous it would be back in February, and he
was
didn't
coached
even
to look at
tell
the
you.
camera.
Yep.
He's on record as saying
It's smart, though.
he
I-
panicked
he's talking to
or
old
he just
people.
looked at the stock
Oh, yeah.
market. One of the two, because guess what? A lot of people died, and a lot more are going to die unless he gets.
He's
a lot
only talking to
smarter, a lot
seniors.
quicker.
That's all he's
Mr.
talking
President?
to.
Did you use the word smart? So you said you went to Delaware State, but you forgot the name of your college. You didn't go to Delaware State. You graduated either the lowest or almost the lowest in your class. Don't ever use the word smart with me. Don't ever use that word.
Holy
Because you know
shit.
what? There's nothing smart about you, Joe. 47 years you've done nothing.
Well, let's have this debate.
And if you
We'll
would have
see.
had, let me just tell you something, Joe.
No,
If you would have had the charge of what I was put through, I had to close the greatest economy in the history of our country. And by the way, now it's being built again.
See,
and
he-
it's
We're going to
going
get
up
to the
fast.
economy in the next segment, sir.
Okay.
It's going up fast. I
Okay.
look forward to talking.
When it comes to how
Oh
the
my
virus has been
God.
handled so far, the two of you have taken very different approaches, and this is going to affect how the virus is handled going forward by whichever of you ends up becoming the next president. I want to quickly go through several of those. Reopenings. Vice President Biden, you have been much more reluctant than President Trump about reopening the economy and schools. Why, sir?
Because he doesn't have a plan. If I were running, I know what the plan is. You've got to
plan- the
provide.
plan-
He
Plan's
just
the
said,
line.
if I
The
were
ability
running.
to have the money to be able
He
to
did.
open
If I were
PPE,
running, I'd have a
as well
plan.
as with the
Which is gonna be the
sanitation
soundbite
they
they'll
need.
just
You have to
use.
Tell
provide
that
them
to Nancy
plastic.
Pelosi.
Well, he's just shush for a minute.
Tell it to
The-
Nancy
the-
Pelosi. And Schumer,
by the
Brian
way,
Chuck.
Nancy Pelosi and Schumer, they have a plan. He won't even meet with them. The Republicans won't meet with him in the
Okay.
Senate.
But-
And he sits on his golf course. And, I mean,
Nah.
literally,
Oh,
think
God.
about it.
You probably
Alright,
play
think
more than
about
I
it.
do, Joe.
What about this question of reopenings and the fact
Well, he wants to shut down this country, and I want to keep it open. And we
You
did
ju-
a great
he just
thing by
admitted
shutting
he
it
shut
down.
it down.
Wait a minute,
Let
Joe.
him
Let me
finish,
shut
sir.
you down for a second, Joe, just for 1 second. He wants to shut down the country. We just went through it. We had to because we didn't know anything about the disease. Now we found that elderly
if I were
people
running
with heart
it, I'd have a
problems
plan.
and
Thank you,
diabetes and
Greg.
different problems
Thank
are
you.
very, very vulnerable. We
If I were
learned a lot.
running.
Young children aren't. Even younger people aren't. We've learned a lot. But he wants to shut it down. More people will be hurt by continuing. If you look at Pennsylvania, if you look at certain states that have been shut down, they have Democrat governors all. One of the reasons they're shut down is because they want to keep it shut down until after the election
Yeah.
on
I
November
I want to
3rd.
move on to another
because
subject.
it's a
I want to move
political
on to another
thing.
subject.
gotta
But
respond.
those,
I
but
wanna
those
move,
states,
gentlemen, I
those
wanna move
states
on to
are
another
not
subject.
doing well that are shut down
Which is
right
gotta
now.
respond to that.
Wants
President
to shut down
Trump,
the
you
whole
have
country.
begun to increasingly question the effectiveness of masks as a disease preventer. And in fact, recently you have cited the issue of waiters touching their masks and touching plates. Are you questioning
No, I think
the
masks
efficacy
are okay.
of
You have
masks?
to understand, if you look, I mean, I have a mask right here. I put a mask on, when
Do
I
it right
think
now.
I
Do
need
it. Put it on.
Oh,
As an
damn it.
example, everybody's had a test, and you've had social distancing and all of the things that you have to. But I
Just
wear
like your
masks
rallies.
when needed. When needed, I wear masks.
Okay, let me ask.
I don't wear masks like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking 200 feet away from it. He shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen. I will say that.
Vice President Biden.
What?
Look, the way to open
This is
businesses
exactly the clown show I wanted. This is so
wherewithal
perfect.
created.
Greg,
Provided
chef's kiss.
money, the
But I
Congress-
was asking you, sir, about masks.
Well, masks make a big difference. His own head of the CDC said if we just wore masks between now, everybody wore masks in social distance between now
Fauci
and
said no.
January, we'd probably
Fauci said
save
no.
up to 100,000 lives. It matters.
And they've also
It
said the
matters.
opposite. They've
And
also said
no serious person said the opposite.
Yes, they.
No
Fauci did.
serious
All right, I wanna
Dr.
ask you-
Fauci. Dr. Fauci said the
He
opposite.
did not
I
say
want to
the
ask you. We got
opposite.
Yes, he
we've
did.
got a minute left in this
Masks
segment.
are
What
not
a
good. Then he
fucking
changed his mind. He said
shit
masks
show.
good.
I
I'm
wanna
okay
ask-
with masks.
I
I'm
want to
not
ask you
fighting
both
masks.
about one last subject, because your different approaches has even affected the way that you have campaigned. President Trump, you're holding large rallies with crowds
Yeah.
packed together, thousands of people.
Outside.
Outside, yes, sir. Agree.
Not the first one.
Vice President Biden, you are
Right.
holding much smaller events with
Because nobody will show up.
people with
It's
With-
true. Nobody shows
laughed.
up to his rally.
All right. In
Chris
any
Wallace
case,
laughed.
Why you holding the big rallies? Why you not? You go first, sir.
Because people
Fundamental,
want to hear what I have to
Greg.
say. I mean,
But are you
I've
not
done a
worried
great
about
job
spreading
as
disease?
president, and I'll have 25, 35,000 people show up at airports. We use airports.
Are you
for
not worried
hangars,
about
and we
the
have a
disease
lot of
issues,
people.
sir?
Well, so far we have had no problem whatsoever. It's outside. That's a big difference, according to the experts. And we do them outside. We have tremendous crowds, as you see. I mean, and literally on 24 hours notice. And Joe does the circles and has 3 people someplace.
Okay.
By the way, did you see one of the last big rallies he had? And a reporter came up to him to ask him a question. He said, no, stand back. Put on your mask. Put on a mask. Have you been tested? I'm way far away from those other people. That's what he said. I can't. I'm going to be okay. He's not worried about you. He's not worried about the people out there breathing in one another.
We've had no negative
cheek to
effect.
jowl. No negative effect.
We've
Come
had
on.
no negative effect, and we've had 35.
Bring up Herman
40,000
Cain,
people
Biden.
at these
Jesus
rallies.
Christ.
Yes.
Quickly finish up,
Yeah.
because I want to move on to our next.
Yes,
Oh,
I would.
damn.
He's
Why
been
would he-
totally
why would he not bring that up?
irresponsible in the way in
Yeah.
which he has handled the
Herman
social
Cain died.
distancing
Say it,
and people
Biden.
Wearing masks, basically encouraged them not to.
All right.
Ben, he's a fool on this.
If you could get
Oh, my
the
God, you
crowds,
slow
would've done
retard.
the
Just
same
say
thing,
that.
But you can't. Nobody cares.
Gentlemen, can we move on to the
Nobody cares.
gentlemen? Can we move on to the economy?
Yes.
The economy is, I think it's fair to say, recovering faster than expected from the shutdown.
Much faster.
In the second quarter, the unemployment rate fell to 8.4% last month. The Federal Reserve says the hit to growth, which is going to be there, is not going to be nearly as big as they had expected. President Trump, you say we are in a V-shaped recovery. Vice President Biden, you say it's more of a K-shape. What difference
What
does
the
that
fuck?
I hate that.
mean
Just
to the
shut
American
up.
people in terms of the economy? President Trump, in this segment, you go first.
So we built the greatest economy in history. We closed it down because of the China plague. When the plague came in, we closed it down, which was very hard psychologically to do. He didn't think we should close it down, and he
The
was wrong.
China plague.
And again,
Wow.
2 million people would be dead now. Instead of still 204,000 people is too much. One person is too much. Should have never happened from China. But what happened is we closed it down, and now we're reopening, and we're doing record business. We had 10.4 million people in a 4-month period that we've put back into the workforce.
Good question,
That's
Greg.
a record
Yeah.
the likes of which nobody's ever seen.
What kind of graph
before.
looks like a
And
K?
he wants
The
to close
equation
down
that
the-
makes
he
a
will
K
shut it
is
down
not a
again.
function.
He will destroy this country. You know,
It's
a lot
not
of
a
people,
function
between drugs
equation.
and alcohol and depression. When you start
There's
shutting
no-
it down, you take a look
This
at what's
doesn't
happening
exist.
in some of your Democrat-run
W,
states where they have
maybe.
these tough
Right.
shutdowns. And I'm telling you, it's because they don't want to open it. One of them came out last week. You saw that. Oh, we're going to open up on November 9th. Why November 9th? Because it's after the election. They think they're hurting us by keeping them closed. They're hurting people.
Closed.
People know what to do. They can social distance. They can wash their hands. They can wear masks. They can do whatever they want. But they got to open these states up. When you look at North Carolina, when you look, and these governors are under siege. Pennsylvania, Michigan, and a couple of others. You got to open these states up. It's not fair. You're talking about almost it's like being in prison. And you look at what's going on with divorce, look at what's going on with alcoholism and drugs. It's a very, very sad thing. And he'll close down the whole country. This guy will close down the whole country and destroy our country. Our country is coming back incredibly well, setting records as it does it. We don't need somebody to come in and say, let's shut it down.
All right. Your 2 minutes, sir. We're now moved to you. As I said, posing the question, the president says it's a V-shaped recovery. You say it's a K-shaped recovery. What's the difference?
The difference is millionaires and billionaires like him in the middle of the COVID crisis.
You're a millionaire
done
too.
Very well. Billionaires have made another $300 billion.
Uh-oh.
Because of his.
He's getting these numbers wrong.
Well,
it's close, but.
And you only focus on the market. But you folks at home. You folks living in Scranton.
Did you mention his taxes?
And all the small towns and
Wait,
working class
what
towns
do you?
I'm just nervous for. I don't like Biden, but I get nervous for
a
him.
total of $750 in taxes.
He wades into shark-infested waters.
Yeah, I understand. You've agreed to the 2 minutes, so please let him have it.
Do I get my time back? The fact is that he has, in fact, worked on this in a way that he's going to be the first president of the United States to leave office having fewer jobs in his administration than when he became president. Fewer jobs than when he became president. First one in American history. Secondly,
he looked right at the camera for that one. Trump did.
Are those people who have been on the front lines, those people who have been saving our lives, those people who have been out there dying, people who've been putting themselves in the way to make sure that we could all try to make it. And the idea that he is insisting that we go forward and open when you have almost half the states in America with a significant increase in COVID deaths and COVID cases in the United States of America. And he wants to
we can't keep doing it. We can't.
I know.
We can't. We can't keep it closed. We can't do it anymore.
You can't fix the economy until you fix the COVID crisis.
You're not going to.
He has no intention of doing anything about making it better for you all at home in terms of your health and your safety. Schools. Why aren't schools open? Because it costs a lot of money to open them safely. You know, they were going to give, his administration was going to give the teachers and school students masks. And then they decided, no, couldn't do that because it's not a national emergency. Not a national emergency. They've done nothing to help small businesses. Nothing. They're closing. 1 in 6 is now gone.
They're closing because you insist on the Democrat governors of these states insist on the economy being closed.
So we can't open safely.
All right. Your time is up, sir. Well, we are going to get to...
I have to respond to that.
Well, you both had 2 minutes, sir.
Excuse me, he made a statement.
So did you.
People want their schools. No, people want their schools open. They don't want to be shut down. They don't want their state shut down. They want their restaurants. I look at New York.
Okay, thank you for being
sad
here.
What's happening in New York? It's almost like
I'll explain myself in a moment, Kate,
sure
when it goes to a break.
What they've done in New York. People want their places open. They want to get back to their lives. They'll be careful, but they want their schools open.
Okay.
I'm the one that brought back football. By the way, I brought back Big Ten football. It was me, and I'm very happy to do it. And
all right,
people of Ohio are very proud of me. And you know,
we're going to get back.
Go to break. I need a break.
To your economic plans going forward in a moment. But first, Mr. President, as you well know, there's a new report that in 2016, the year you were elected president, and 2017, your first year as president, that you paid $750 a year
it's going to be very
in
interesting how he handles
income
this.
tax each of those years. I know that you pay a lot of other taxes, but I'm asking you the specific question. Is it true that you paid $750 in federal income taxes each of those 2 years?
I paid millions of dollars in taxes, millions of dollars of income tax. And let me just tell you, there was a story in one of the papers. I paid $38 million 1 year. I paid $27 million.
Show us your tax returns.
I went, you'll see it as soon as it's finished. You'll see it. You know, if you want to go to the Board of Elections. There's a 118-page or so report that says everything I have, every bank I have, I'm totally under-leveraged because the assets are extremely good, and I built a great company.
I'm asking you a specific question, which is...
let me tell you...
I understand all of that. I understand all of that. No, Mr. President,
go ahead.
I'm asking you a question. Will you tell us how much you paid in federal income taxes in 2016 and 2017?
Millions of dollars.
You paid millions of dollars?
Millions of dollars,
So
yes.
not $750?
Millions of dollars, and you'll get to see it. And you'll get to see it. But let me just tell you, Chris, let me just tell you something, that it was the tax laws I don't want to pay tax. Before I came here, I was a private developer. I was a private business people. Like every other private person, unless they're stupid, they go through the laws, and that's what it is. He passed a tax bill that gave us all these privileges for depreciation and for tax credits.
There it is.
We build the building and we get tax credits like the hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue. You
there
get
it
massive, is. Which, by the way, was given to me by the Obama administration, if you can believe that. Now, the man got fired right after that happened. But
Vice President Biden, you want to respond?
Yeah, I do want to respond. Look, the tax
Holy
code
shit.
made him, put him in a position that he pays less tax than a school teacher on the money a school teacher makes, is because of him he says he's smart because he can take advantage of the tax code. And he does take advantage of the tax code.
Yeah.
That's why I'm going to eliminate
the code that
tax code.
No, but you wrote it.
That you wrote.
You wrote it, retard.
Okay. And make sure that we invest in the people who, in fact, need the help. People out there need help.
But why didn't you do it over the last 25 years?
Because you weren't president. Because you weren't president screwing things up.
You were a senator. And
You're
by
the
way,
worst
you were
president America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
Joe,
on.
let me just tell you, Joe. I've done more in 47 months. I've done more than you've done in 47 years, Joe. We've done things that you never even thought of doing, including fixing the broken military that you gave me, including taking care of your vets.
Mr. President, we're talking about the economy. I'd like to ask you about your plans going forward, because, Mr. Vice President, your economic plan, if you were to be elected president, focuses a lot on big government, big taxes, big spending. I want to focus first on the taxes. You propose more than $4 trillion over a decade in new taxes on individuals making more than $400,000 a year and on corporations.
Grandpa Wars.
President Trump says that kind of an increase in taxes is going to hurt the economy as it's just coming out of a recession.
Well, just take a look at what the analysis done by Wall Street firms. Points out that my economic plan would create 7 million more jobs than his in 4 years, number one. And number two, it would create an additional $1 trillion in economic growth, because it would be about...
It's all speculation.
I know.
None of this means anything.
No.
The federal government spends $600 billion a year on everything from ships to steel to buildings and the like. And under my proposal, we're going to make sure that every penny of that has to be made by a company.
But respectfully, sir, I'm talking about taxes, not spending.
By the way, I'm going to eliminate a significant number of the tax. I'm going to make
oh my God, he's doing so bad. I didn't expect it to be this bad.
It shouldn't be 21%. You have 91 companies, in the Fortune 500,
oh my
who
God.
don't pay a single penny in tax, making billions of dollars.
Why didn't you do it before when you were vice president with Obama?
Because you, in fact, passed that. That was your tax proposal.
I got it done, and you know what happened?
Yeah, you got it done.
Our economy boomed like it's never boomed.
The economy is
Mr.
busted.
President,
Let me finish.
Mr. President, let me pick up on that. You would continue your free market approach, lower taxes, more deregulation, correct?
Not lower taxes for the American people.
Excuse me. But in Obama's, you talk about the economy booming. It turns out that in Obama's final 3 years as president, more jobs were created, 1.5 million more jobs than in the first 3 years of your presidency.
They had the slowest recovery economic recovery since 1929. It was the slowest recovery. Also, they took over something that was down here. All you had to do is turn on the lights and you pick up a lot. But they had the slowest economic recovery since 1929. Let me tell you about the stock market. When the stock market goes up, that means jobs. It also means 401ks. If you got in,
I hate the stock market.
I hate it so much.
Terminate my taxes,
so fucking gay.
Taxes,
the graph of rich people's feelings.
Half of the companies that have poured in here will leave, and plenty of companies that are already here, they'll leave for other places. They will leave, and you will have a depression, the likes of which you've never seen.
Look, we inherited the worst recession short of a depression in American history. I was asked to bring it back. We were able to have an economic recovery that created the jobs.
And you changed nothing.
You
you arrested nobody responsible. You did nothing.
He blew it.
It wasn't booming. It was the weakest recovery since 1929.
Is it fair to say he blew it when fact, when there was record low unemployment before COVID?
Yeah, but because what he did, even before COVID, manufacturing went in the hole. Manufacturing went in a hole.
Excuse me.
Because of NAFTA.
Number two.
Chris.
Number three.
They
Right.
said it
TPP.
would take, no, you were number 2.
No.
Chris, they said it would
This
take
guy
a
is
miracle to bring back manufacturing. I brought back 700,000 jobs. They brought back nothing. They gave up on manufacturing.
We
Part
did
of
not
my
agree.
standard fare.
I'm the guy that
He
brought
totally
back
gave
the
up on
automobile
manufacturing.
industry.
All right, let him.
We brought back. I was asked to bring back Chrysler and General
By selling
Motors,
it to
brought
Fiat.
back right here in the state of Ohio and Michigan.
You sold it to Fiat.
He blew it. They're gone. He blew it. And in fact, they're going.
Ohio had the best year it's ever had last year. Michigan had the best year they've ever had.
That is not
Many
true.
car companies came in from Germany, from Japan, went to Michigan, went to Ohio.
They're not having
And
that.
they didn't come in with you.
Mr. Vice President, go ahead.
And so you take a look at what he's actually
Fuck,
done.
I need a break.
He's done
Yeah, me
very
too.
little. His trade deals are the same way. He talks about these great trade deals. You know, he talks about the art of the deal. China's perfected the art of the steal. We have a higher deficit.
What are you talking
than
about?
Before.
You're
We have the
responsible for
highest
that.
deficit, trade
And you
deficit.
love China.
Ate your
Mexico.
lunch,
All
down
right, gentlemen,
18%.
in-
China ate your lunch, Joe, and no wonder your son goes in and he takes out billions of dollars. Takes out billions of dollars to manage. He makes millions of dollars. And also,
Simply
while
not
we're at it,
true.
why is it, just out of curiosity, the mayor of Moscow's wife gave your son $3.5 million.
That's
true.
What did he
True.
do to deserve it?
It's absolutely
What
true.
did he do with Burisma
None
to
of that-
deserve
Wait, wait,
$183,000?
None
You've
of
asked
that
your
is
question,
true.
let him answer.
Oh my
None
fucking
of that
God.
is true.
Oh,
It's
really? He didn't
totally,
get
But no,
$3.5
hey,
million?
Mr. President,
It's
Mr.
totally-
President, please.
totally
ask the question.
discredited. Totally discredited. And by the way,
Well, wait,
let's
he didn't
talk-
get
No, no.
$3.5 million, Joe?
Mr. Vice,
He got
Mr.
$3.5 million.
President,
That is not true.
Oh,
Here's-
really?
Mr.
Oh.
President,
But, Mr.
it's an open discussion, please.
Now,
It's a fact.
Well,
It
you
is
have
not a
raised an
fact.
issue. Let the
It's been
Vice
totally
President answer.
discredited.
Did
There was a
Burisma pay him
report.
$183,000 a month with no experience in energy?
Mr.
Look,
President,
no
my
job?
son did nothing wrong at Burisma.
I think he did.
and
Mr.
the only
President,
guy that
let
did
him
something-
answer.
He doesn't want to let me answer because he knows I have the truth. His position has been totally, thoroughly discredited.
who?
And
Just
the
regretted
media.
explain.
by everybody.
If you have a thing,
By the
explain
media,
it.
By our
Because they refuse to
allies, by
talk
the
about it
World
because they're
Bank, by
embarrassed.
Oh
by
fuck.
everyone has discredited. Matter of
hate
fact,
that.
even
Mr.
the people
President,
who
please stop.
testified under oath.
So let me
under
ask you
oath,
this,
Henry,
Joe.
under
No,
oath.
go ahead, Mr. I'm listening to
even the
you.
people under.
He got $3.5 million from
testified.
Moscow.
Trump, shut up for a
He
second.
testified under oath in his administration, said, I did my job and I did it very well.
Oh,
I
really?
did it
I'd like to
honorably.
know who they are.
Well, I'll give you the list
I'll
of the
fire
people who
them.
testified.
No, go ahead, sir.
Sure, you've already fired most of them because they did a good job.
Some people don't
Well,
do a good
here's
job. With you,
Go
they
ahead.
say
You
Well,
get
here's the
wait a
deal.
minute. You get the final word, Mr.
Well, it's hard to get any word in with this clown. Excuse me, this.
Hey,
this
let me just
person.
say, Joe.
No. I'm
No.
Mr. President. I'm
$3.5
Mr.
million,
President.
Joe.
That is simply
Why did
not
he
true.
deserve $3.5 million
It
from
did-
Moscow?
Look, here's the deal. We want to talk about families and ethics. I don't want to do that. I mean, his family we could talk about all night. His family's
My
already.
family,
No, let him go.
my family
already
lost
wrote-
a fortune by coming down and helping
Go
us
ahead.
with
Go ahead,
government.
sir.
And that's
This
such
is
a,
so
Mr.
uncomfortable.
That's such
Every
a great.
single one of them lost
This
a
is not
fortune
about
President.
my
coming and
family or
helping
his
us with
family. It's
government.
about your family,
They
the
didn't
American
collect
people.
$3.5 million.
He doesn't. That's not true. It doesn't
Yeah,
want
Yana.
to talk about.
I love that
what
your first
you
chime
need.
in is
you, the
so
American people.
painful.
It's about you. That's what we're talking about
you
here.
should
All right, that's
Not
the,
about
end of
you.
that's the end of the
Shouldn't have
segment.
taken the money.
We're moving on.
He didn't take that.
Vice President,
But Chris,
no.
can I be honest? It's a very important
Try to be
question.
honest.
No,
That's
he
a good
stood
thing.
up.
No,
he stood up.
the answer to
and
the
he
question is
threatened
no.
Ukraine.
No, sir.
With $1 billion, if you
That
don't get rid
is
of the
absolutely
You know what?
not
Stop.
true.
You're on tape
You're-
doing it.
you're gonna
You're on
have-
tape.
True.
Gentlemen,
Is-
I hate to raise
Chris,
my voice,
he's
but
on
it seems
tape.
to be, why should I be different than the two of you? So here's the
Got a
deal.
good point.
Yeah.
We have 6 segments. We have ended that segment. We're going to go to the next segment. In that segment, you each are going to have 2 uninterrupted moments. In those 2 uninterrupted minutes, Mr. President, you can say anything you want. I'm going to ask a question about race, but if you want to answer about something else, go ahead. But I think that the country would be better served if we allowed both people
This is
to
like
speak
someone like
with
Rogan should have
fewer
done this.
interruptions.
I mean, like
Yeah.
Willing to you, sir, to do that?
Well, and him too.
Well,
a
frankly,
younger
you've been
person, like
doing
it's
more
a
than-
non-newsy
Oh, that's all right, but he
person.
does
I mean,
plenty.
Well, less than, sir, less
there's
than,
plenty.
no, less than you have. Let's please continue on. The issue of race. Vice President Biden, you say that President Trump's response to the violence in Charlottesville 3 years ago, when
Oh,
he talked
God,
about
this again?
very
I
fine
know.
people on both sides,
They just
was what
cannot
directly led you
let it go
to launch this run for president.
Oh, yeah, sure.
President Trump, you have often said that you believe you have done more for black Americans than any president, with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln. My question for the two of you is why
so
should
stupid.
voters trust you rather than your opponent to deal with the race issues facing this country over the next 4 years? Vice President Biden, you go first.
It's about equity and equality. It's about decency. It's about the Constitution. And we have never walked away from trying to require equity for everyone, equality for the whole of America. But
equality
we've
for
never
my
accomplished
whole.
it. But we've never walked away from it. Like
Dicks
he
of
has
every
done.
size.
It is true. The reason
Every
I got
color,
in the races from those people.
everything.
Close your eyes. Remember what those people looked like coming out of the fields carrying torches, their veins bulging, and just spewing anti-Semitic bile, and accompanied by the Ku Klux Klan. A young woman got killed, and they asked the president what he thought. He said there were very fine people on
That's not
both
what he said.
sides. No president's ever
Finish
said
the
anything
statement.
like that.
Finish the statement.
It is who's
Now,
2
second,
minutes, sir.
second point I'd make to you is that when Floyd was killed, when Mr. Floyd was killed, there was a peaceful protest in front of the White House.
Yeah,
What
Joe.
did he do? He came out of his bunker, had the military use tear gas on him so he could walk across to a church and hold up a Bible. And then what happened after that? The bishop of that very church said that it was a disgrace. The general who was with him said all he ever wants to do is divide people, not unite people at all. This is a president who has used everything as a dog whistle to try to generate racist hatred, racist division. This is a man who, in fact, you talk about helping African Americans. 1 in 1,000 African Americans has been killed because of the coronavirus. And if he doesn't do something quickly, by the end of the year, 1 in 500 will have been killed.
Why?
1 in 500
Why?
African Americans.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
This man is the savior of African Americans. This man cares at all.
Viruses
This
can't
man's
be
done virtually
racist.
nothing.
Exactly.
Look, the fact is that you have to look at what he talks about.
He thinks
You
this
have
shit
to look at
works.
what he
That's
did.
what's so funny
And
about
what
this.
he did has been disastrous for the African American community.
So,
President Trump, you have 2 minutes. Why should Americans trust you over your opponent to deal with
he
racism?
did a crime bill, 1994.
Oh my
You
God.
call them super predators,
Yep.
African Americans, the super predators, and they've never forgotten it. They've never forgotten it, Joe.
never
No,
said
no, sir. It's his 2 minutes.
So you did that, and they call you a super predator, and I'm letting people out of jail now that you have treated the
Yep.
African American population community, you have treated the black community about as bad as anybody in this country. You did the 1990, and that's why, if you look at the polls, I'm doing better than any Republican has done in a long time.
It's true.
Because they saw
Yeah.
what you did. You call them super predators, and you've called them worse than that. Because you look back at your testimony over the years, you've called them a lot worse than that. As far as the church is concerned, and as far as the generals are concerned, we just got the support of 250 military leaders and generals, total support. Law enforcement, almost every law enforcement group in the United States. I have Florida, I have Texas, I have Ohio, I have
Come on.
excuse me, Portland. The sheriff just came out today and he said, I support President Trump. I don't think you have any law enforcement. You can't even say the word law enforcement, because if you say those words, you're going to lose all of your radical left supporters. And why aren't you saying those words, Joe? Why don't you say the words law enforcement? Because you know what? If they called us in Portland, we would put out that fire in a half an hour, but they won't do it because they're run by radical left Democrats. If you look at Chicago, if you look at any place
Thank
you
you.
want to look, Seattle, they heard we were coming in the following day and they put up
Daddy's
their hands and we
thirsty.
got back Seattle. Minneapolis, we got it back, Joe, because we believe in law and order, but you don't. The top 10 cities and just about the top 40 cities are run by Democrats and in many cases radical left, and they've got you wrapped around their finger, Joe, to a point where you don't want to say anything about law and order. And I'll tell you what, the people of this country want and demand law and order, and you're afraid to even say it.
All right. I
I'll say
want to return to the question of race. Vice President Biden, after the grand jury in the Breonna Taylor case decided not to charge any of the police with homicide, you said it raises the question, quote, whether justice could be equally applied in America. Do you believe that there is a separate but unequal system of justice for blacks in this country?
Yes, there is. There's systemic injustice in this country, in education and work and in law enforcement.
Stay focused.
It's enforced.
Right.
But look, the vast majority of police officers are good, decent, honorable men and women. They risk their lives every day to take care of us. But there are some bad apples, and when they occur, when they find them, they have to be sorted out.
This shit ain't gonna work.
Accountable. They have to be held accountable. And what I'm going to do as President of the United States is call together an entire group of people at the White House, well, everything from the civil rights groups to the police officers to the police chiefs, and we're going to work this out.
But
we're
you
gonna work this
were
out so we change
vice
the way in
president.
which we
You
have
wrote
more
the Patriot Act.
transparency and when these things happen.
You had
These
every
cops aren't
opportunity
happy
to
see
address
what happened to
Ferguson
George Floyd.
and
These
every other
cops
police
aren't happy to
brutality
see
thing
what
before
happened
Black
to
Lives Matter
Breonna
started when you
Taylor.
were vice president.
Most don't like it, but we have to have a system where people are held accountable. And by the way, violence in response is never appropriate. Never appropriate. Peaceful protest is. Violence is never appropriate.
All right,
What is peaceful protest? When they run through the middle of a town and burn down your stores and kill people all over the place,
that
and you
is
say
not
peaceful
peaceful
protest?
President
No,
Trump,
it's
I'm not
not, but
asking-
you say it is.
President
not
Trump,
say
I'd like to continue with the
Yes,
issue
go
of
ahead,
race. I
please.
promise we're going to get to the issue of law and order in a moment.
Yeah, me too, Perry.
This month, your administration directed federal agencies to end racial sensitivity training that addresses white privilege or critical race theory. Why did you decide to do that?
'Cause it's
to end
retarded.
Racial sensitivity training, and do you believe that there is systemic racism in this country, sir?
I ended it because it's racist. I ended it because a
Yeah.
lot
It
of
is.
people were complaining that they were asked to do things that were absolutely insane.
Agreed.
That
We
it
read
was a
White Fragility.
radical,
We did.
A revolution that was taking place in our military, in our schools, all over the place, and you
That's
know
the
it,
kind
and
of
so
shit they
does
do.
everybody
What
else,
is radical?
and he would know.
What is
Oh, it was
radical
totally
about
racist.
racial sensitivity training?
If you were a certain person,
You know what it is.
you had no status in life. It was sort of a reversal.
Class,
And
class,
if you
class,
look at
class.
the people, we were paying people hundreds of thousands of dollars to teach very bad ideas and
Robin
frankly,
DiAngelo.
very sick ideas. And really, they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to allow that to happen. We have to go back to the core values of this country. They were teaching people that our country is a horrible place, it's a racist place, and they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm
No
not going to
one
allow
did.
that to happen.
Vice President Biden?
Nobody's doing that. He's
Oh,
the
you-
racist.
You just don't.
Here's the deal.
All
I know
right.
a lot more about
You
this
don't
than
know.
you do.
No,
Let
you
him
don't.
finish.
The fact
You
is
don't
that
care.
There is.
That's why this is a
racial
bummer.
insensitivity.
Yeah.
People have to be made aware of what other people feel like, what insults them, what is demeaning to them. It's important to people know they don't want.
Can be like if
many
someone
people don't
compliments
want
your
to hurt
hair,
other people's feelings.
that's
but
what hurts your
It makes a
feelings.
big difference. It makes a gigantic
Right.
difference in the way a child is able to grow up and have a sense
it.
of self-esteem. It's a little bit like how this guy and his friends look down on so many people. They look down their nose on people like Irish Catholics.
That's the thing about
like
critical
me,
race
who grew up
theories.
in
It's
Scranton.
like
Look down on people
it's to
who don't
keep
have
everyone
money. They look down
separate,
on
so we
people
don't
who
focus
are
on
of a
class.
different
That's what this is
faith.
all
They
about.
Look down on people who are a different
And he
color.
knows it's stupid.
In fact,
Biden knows
we're
it's
all
stupid, but he
Americans.
cannot
The
say
only way
it.
we're gonna
He
bring
can't
this
say it.
country together is bring everybody together. There's nothing we cannot do if we do it together. We can take this on and we can defeat racism
Vice
in America.
President Trump.
What does that
During
mean?
the Obama-Biden administration, there was tremendous division. There was hatred. You look at Ferguson. You look at.
Yeah.
You go to very many places. Look at Oakland. Look what happened in Oakland. Look what happened in Baltimore. Look what happened. Frankly, it was more violent than what I'm even seeing now.
Oh, my
but
Lord.
the
That's not
reason
true at all.
Is
No.
that the Democrats that run these
Absolutely
cities
ridiculous.
don't want to talk like you about law and order.
Violent
and you
crime,
still haven't mentioned.
violent
Are you in
crime.
favor of law and order?
I'm in favor of law. You follow
Are you
it
in
and a little
favor
bit
of law and order? Go
yes,
ahead,
I'm
say
in
it.
favor.
You
Everybody's
asked a
in favor
question,
of
let him finish.
Law
He
and order.
loses
Law
lefty.
and
Let
order.
him- let him answer.
Law and order with justice, where people get treated fairly. And the fact of the matter is, violent crime went down 17%, 15% in our administration.
All right.
It's gone up on his watch.
Went down
He-
much more
he
in
had-
ours.
All right.
But
we're-
you
we're
know
down-
why,
Mr.
Joe.
President, you're going
States
to
of
China,
America.
we
Mr.
were
President,
breaking every
you're-
record in the
Mr.
book.
President, you're going to be very happy because
And
we're now going to
excuse
talk
me,
about law and order.
Places we had trouble were Democratic-run cities.
That's
and
exactly
so
my
is
question. There has
Yeah.
been a dramatic increase in homicides in America this summer particularly,
Ugh.
and you often blame that on Democratic mayors and Democratic governors, but in fact there have been equivalent spikes in Republican-led cities like Tulsa and Fort Worth. So the question is this really a party issue?
I think it's a party issue. You can bring in a couple of examples, but if you look at Chicago, what's going on in Chicago, where 53 people were shot and 8 died shot. If you look at New York, where it's going up like nobody's ever seen anything, the numbers are going up 100, 150, 200%. Crime. It is crazy what's going on.
What?
And he doesn't want to say law and order because he can't, because he'll lose his radical left supporters. And once he does that, it's over with. But if he ever got to run this country and they ran it the way he would want to run it, our suburbs would be gone. By the way, our suburbs would be gone.
He's trying to get the white women back. It's not happening, though.
He would know a suburb unless he took a wrong turn.
Oh, I know suburbs.
He would not.
So much
Go ahead. Wait a minute.
I was raised in the suburbs. This is not 1950. All these dog whistles and racism don't work anymore.
Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Integrated. There's many people today driving their kids to soccer practice and/or to black and white and Hispanic in the same car as there have been any time in the past. What really is a threat?
What are you saying?
This is elder abuse.
Is his failure to deal with COVID. They're dying in the suburbs. His failure to deal with the environment. They're being flooded. They're being burned out because his refusal to do anything. That's why the suburbs are in trouble.
I do want to talk about this issue of law and order, though. And in the joint
yes, Del Reese, I really hope
that
we do
came
get to
from
that point.
Biden, Bernie Sanders task force, you talked about, quote, reimagining policing. First of all, what does reimagining policing mean, and do you support?
It means.
Let me, if I might finish the question. What does reimagining policing mean, and do you support the Black Lives Matter call for
He's being
community
so
control
careful.
of policing?
Look, what I support is the police having the opportunity to deal with the problems they face, and I'm totally opposed to defunding
He's not going to say
the police
anything.
officers. As a matter of fact, local police, the only one defunding, and his budget calls for a $400 million cut in local law enforcement assistance. They need more assistance. They need, when they show up for a 9/11 call, to have someone with them as a psychologist,
A 9/11
or
call?
psychiatrist, to keep them from
Who
having
says
to use
that?
force and be able to talk people down.
Especially with the context we
to
have now.
community policing like
A
we had before, where the
9/11
officers get
call.
to know the people in the communities. That's when crime went down. It didn't go up, it went down. And so we have to be engaged.
That's not what
in
they're
front of-
talking about, Chris. That's
well,
not what
that-
they're talking
that's
He's talking
exactly-
about defunding the police.
That is not true.
He doesn't have any law support.
Look,
He has no law enforcement
that's not
support.
true.
Almost
That's
nothing.
look,
Oh, really? Who do you have? Name one group that supports you. Name one group that came out and supported you. Go
Look,
ahead.
look.
Think.
I have like a
time.
ton of people
We don't
calling
have
me right
time to
now.
do
No,
anything.
think
All right.
about it.
All right.
Name
was-
one law
yeah.
enforcement group that came out and
I think,
supported
gentlemen, I think I'm going to take back the
There aren't.
moderator's
I don't
role,
think there
and
are any.
I want to get to another subject, which is the issue of protests in many cities that have turned
Oh,
violent.
boy.
In Portland, Oregon, especially, we had more than 100 straight days of protests, which I think you would agree. You talk about peaceful protests. Many of those turned into riots. Mr. Vice President, you say that people who commit crimes should be held accountable. The question I have, though, is as the Democratic nominee, and earlier tonight you said that you are the Democratic Party right now. Have you
You
ever
did
called
say
the
that.
Democratic mayor of Portland or the Democratic governor of Oregon and said, hey, you got to stop this, bring in the National Guard, do whatever it takes, but you stop the days and months of violence in Portland?
I don't hold public office now. I am a former vice president. I've made it clear in my public statements that the violence should be prosecuted. It should be prosecuted, and anyone who commits it
But
should
you've
be
never
prosecuted.
called for the people,
He's never
the
said
leader.
that.
Excuse me, sir. You had never called for the leaders in Portland and in Oregon to call
Because
bring in
they-
the National Guard and knock
Well,
off 100 days of riots.
They can, in fact, take care of it if he just stay out of the way. Look here.
Oh, really?
Here,
Oh, really?
here's the
But
thing.
So do nothing. Do nothing. Do
Yeah.
nothing.
Let them
A young
handle
man
it.
In the
Yeah,
middle
right.
of the street, they shot him, and
Right.
for 3
Mr.
days,
President Trump,
and just-
Portland
President
wouldn't do
Trump,
anything.
he's
I had to send in
interrupted-
the U.S. Marshals.
President
They
Trump,
took care of business.
Go ahead, sir.
And by the way, his own former spokesperson said, riots and chaos and violence help his cause. That's what this is all about.
I don't know who said that.
I do.
Who?
I think Kellyanne Conway.
I don't think she said that.
She said that. And so here's the point.
I think what's tough is it's like the decorum of what it is to be a reporter. You go, Donald, shut your mouth.
Yeah.
Just be a man. Out alpha him. He's not playing by your rules.
Right.
Figure out how to deal with this.
Donald, shut up. First name.
I wish you would say
constantly.
that.
Every single solitary time.
And to end this, button up this segment, I'm going to give you a minute to answer.
Yeah, Gio,
sir.
It's elder abuse.
You have repeatedly criticized.
I have to answer his statement.
No, you have
His
repeatedly.
statement. Wait,
you have
just one
No,
second.
you've been talking
You
back
made
and
a
forth.
statement.
I'm asking you.
I would love to
you know,
end it.
sir.
I would love to end it.
You know, if you want to switch seats, we can do that. But I'm
send in the National Guard, it would be over. There'd be no problem.
Okay.
But they don't want to accept the National Guard.
You have repeatedly criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing extremist groups. But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
Are you
I'm
prepared
willing to do
specifically
that, but
do it?
Well, go ahead, sir.
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it.
You want to call him? What do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
White
name.
supremacists and
Who would
right
you like me to condemn?
White supremacists and right
Proud
militia.
Boys, stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing. This is a left-wing problem.
White supremacists. Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
No, it's become one.
Yeah.
His FBI.
And they have money. I don't know where it's coming from, but they are definitely organized.
On to the next. We're
When a
moving.
bat hits you over the head, that's not an idea.
Everybody in
Antifa
your
is bad.
administration tells you the truth has a bad idea.
Can I tell you what?
You have no ideas.
Antifa is a dangerous,
All right,
radical
gentlemen,
group.
we're now moving on to the Trump and
you ought to be
Biden
careful with
records.
them. They'll overthrow you.
When a
in 2
president,
seconds.
I'm going to ask a question. When the president seeks a second term, it is generally a referendum on his record. But Vice President Biden, you like to quote one of your dad's sayings, which is, don't compare me to the almighty, compare me to the alternative. And in this case, sir, you are the alternative.
What is he supposed to do?
Looking at both of your records, I'm going to ask each of you, why should voters elect you president over your opponent in this?
White supremacy is such a nebulous. What the fuck is it?
Because there has never been an administration or president who has done more than I've done in a period of 3.5 years. And that's despite the impeachment hoax. And you saw what happened today with Hillary Clinton, where it was a whole big con job. But despite going through all of these things, where I had to fight both flanks and behind me and above, there has never been an administration that's done what I've done. The greatest, before COVID came in, the greatest economy in history, lowest unemployment numbers. Everything was good. Everything was going. And by the way, there was unity going to happen. People were calling me for the first time in years. They were calling and they were saying, it's time maybe. And then what happened? We got hit, but now we're building it back up again. A rebuilding of the military, including Space
Build back
Force and all
better.
of the other things.
The worst slogan.
The VA, which was a mess under him. 308,000 people died because they didn't have proper health care. He was a mess. And we now got a 91% approval rating at the VA, our vets. We take care of our vets. But we've rebuilt our military. The job that we've done, and I'll tell you some people
You
say
don't
maybe
understand
the most
America.
important. By the end of the first term, I'll have approximately 300 federal judges and Court of Appeals judges, 300, and hopefully 3 great Supreme Court judges.
Yeah, he's already done like
Justices.
270,
That is
right?
a record, the likes of which very few people, and you know one of the reasons I'll have so many judges? Because President Obama and him left me 128 judges to fill.
Shit.
When you leave office, you don't leave any judges. That's like, you just don't do that. They left 128 openings, and if I were a member of his
I didn't know
party,
that.
because they have a little different philosophy, I'd say if you left us 128 openings, you can't be a good president, you can't be a good vice president. But I want to thank you, because it gives us almost, it'll probably be above that number by the end of this term. 300 judges. It's a record.
Looking at both your records, why should voters elect you president as opposed
Trump
to
is,
President
Kate,
Trump?
because
2 minutes uninterrupted.
Biden
Under this
is
president,
so
we become
tired.
weaker,
Like,
sicker, poorer.
but maybe, who knows?
divided,
See if he pulls it out right now.
When I was vice president, we inherited a recession. I was asked to fix it. I did. We left him a booming economy, and he caused a recession. With regard to being weaker,
We all lose.
the fact is that
Yep.
None of us are winning this.
made it clear to him we're not going to take
Exactly.
any of the stuff. He's Putin's puppy.
We
He
lose.
still refuses
People
to
who
give
don't have
the
$100 million,
same
we're
the
losing.
bounty on the heads of American soldiers.
Your son got
That was bullshit. That was a bullshit story.
And by the way,
Mr.
my
President,
son.
wait a minute. Mr. President, your campaign agreed to both sides would get 2-minute answers uninterrupted. Well, your side agreed to it, and why don't you observe what your campaign agreed to as a ground rule, okay, sir?
He
Fine.
never keeps his
Okay.
word. Can you add
No,
back
no,
He's
I'm
a
not
person
asking.
that's
That
not
was a
yelling.
rhetorical question.
Can you
Go
add
ahead,
back
sir.
30 seconds?
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
you may have.
All right.
Go ahead.
So, thirdly, we're poor. The billionaires have gotten much more wealthy by a tune of over $300 to $400 billion more just since COVID. You in the home, you got less. You're in more trouble than you were before. In terms of being
The Democrats
more
sponsored the
violent,
bill that was the
when we were in
largest
office,
transfer
there were
of wealth in
15%
American
less
history. Like, this
violence
is
in
not
America
a
than there is
Republican
today.
problem.
He's
It's
president
both
the
of you.
United States. It's on his watch. And with regard to more divided, the nation can't stay divided. We can't be this way. And speaking of my son, the way you talk about the military, the way you talk about them being losers and being and just being suckers. My
Slap
son
for that, you
was
stupid
in
bastards.
Iraq. He spent a year there. He got the Bronze Star. He got the Conspicuous Service Medal.
Brown
He
Star?
was
Brown
not a
Star.
loser. He was a patriot.
I got a
People
Brown
left
Star, too.
behind there were heroes, and I resent.
Are you talking
like
about
hell.
Hunter? Are you talking about
I'm
Hunter?
talking about my son, Bo Biden. You're
I
talking
don't know.
about.
I don't know, Bo. I know Hunter.
Yeah, you
Hunter
know
got
Bo.
thrown. Hunter got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true. He
For
wasn't dishonorably.
cocaine use, and he didn't have a job until you became vice president. And once you
None of
became
that
vice
is
president,
true.
he made a fortune in Ukraine, in China, in Moscow,
That
In
is
China?
simply
various
not
other places.
true.
I wanna
He made
die.
a fortune.
Gentlemen,
My son.
And he didn't
End
have a
it.
My
job.
son.
I got the
like
Dr.
a lot
Drew
of
thing
people-
where I'm like
a
so
lot of people
ashamed
know
I
at
can't.
home, had a drug problem. He's overtaken it. He's fixed
I don't
it.
think he
He's worked on
has.
it. And I'm proud of him.
But why
I'm
was he
proud of
given
my
tens
son.
of millions
All
of
right.
But
dollars?
he wasn't given
All right.
tens of
He was
millions of
given
dollars. That
tens
is
of
totally,
millions of
that's been
dollars.
totally.
He left a crack pipe in a rental car. That's how he got busted.
Totally discredited.
We've already been through this. I think the American people would rather hear about more substantial
So do I.
subjects. Well, you know, as the moderator, sir, I'm going to make
I know,
a
but when
judgment
somebody
call here.
gets $3.5 million
Okay,
from
right.
the
Let's
mayor
talk about-
of Moscow,
let's talk
That is
about-
not
I think
true.
it's a terrible
That
thing.
report is totally
Why did he get
discredited.
it?
I
Mitt
think,
Romney on that committee said it wasn't worth taxpayers' money, that report. It was written for political reasons.
you know, I'd like to talk about climate change.
So would I.
Okay. The forest fires in the West are raging now. They have
Uh-oh.
burned millions of acres.
This is not
They
Trump's
have
specialty.
Displaced
No.
hundreds of thousands of people. When state officials there blame the fires on climate change, Mr. President, you said, I don't think the science knows. Over your 4 years, you have pulled the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Accord. You have rolled back a number of Obama environmental records. What do you believe about the science of climate change, and what will you do in the next 4 years to confront it?
I want crystal clean water and air. I want beautiful clean air. We have now the lowest carbon. If you look at our numbers right now,
Carbon emissions
we
are
doing
down,
phenomenally.
but
we haven't destroyed our businesses.
production is
our
down.
Businesses aren't put out of commission. If you look at the Paris Accord, it
You
was
can't
a
take
disaster
credit
from
for
our
it.
standpoint. And people
So would
are
I, Red Mage.
actually
I'd party with
very
Hunter,
happy
too. He'd
about
probably
what's
have
going
blast.
on because our businesses are doing well. As far as the fires are concerned, you need forest management. In addition
the perfect
to
party
everything
is
else.
you,
The
me,
forest
and Hunter
floors
Biden.
are loaded up with trees,
Hunter
dead
Biden,
trees that are years
Andrew
old,
Gillum.
and they're like tinder.
George W.
and
Bush, when he was like
leaves
in
and
his
everything
20s.
else. You drop a cigarette in there, the whole forest burns down. You've got to have forest
This is
management.
true,
You've
though.
gotta have cuts.
What do you believe about the science of climate change, sir?
That's a good
I
question.
believe that we have to do everything we can to have immaculate air, immaculate water, and do whatever else we can that's good. You know, we're planting 1 billion trees, the Billion Tree Project. and it's very
Billion
exciting.
trees.
That human pollution, greenhouse gas emissions
He's not gonna answer
contributes
it.
to the global warming of
I
this
think
planet?
a lot of things do, but I think to an extent, yes. I think
Oh,
to an
wow.
extent, yes.
That surprises
but
me.
I also think we have to do better management of our forests. Every year, I get the call.
That really surprised me.
California's burning. California is burning. If that was cleaned, if that were If you had
You're never going to
forest
see it, Kate.
management, good forest management, you wouldn't be getting those calls. You know, in Europe, they live their forest cities. They're called forest cities. They maintain their forests. They manage their forests. I was with the head of a major country. It's a forest city. He said, sir, we have trees that are far more, they ignite much easier than California. There shouldn't be that problem. I spoke with the governor about it. I'm getting along very well with the governor. But I said, you know, at some point, you can't every year have.
Look, you're fucking my son's ex-wife, my son's wife, or you were.
Burned to the ground. That's burning down because of a lack of management.
But sir, if you believe in the science of climate change, why have you rolled back the Obama
or they
clean
can't.
power
It's
plan,
like
which limited
there's a
carbon
group that does it
emissions in
afterwards.
Power plants? Why have you relaxed?
Because it was driving energy prices through the sky.
Why have you relaxed fuel economy standards that are going to create more pollution from cars
Well,
and
not
trucks?
really, because what's happening is the car is much less expensive and it's a much safer car, and you're talking about a tiny difference. And then what would happen, because of the cost of the car, you would have at least double and triple the number of cars purchased. We have the old slugs out there that are 10, 12 years old. If you did that, the car would be safer. It would be much cheaper by $3,500.
In the case of California, they've simply ignored
No, but you would take a lot of cars
rollback.
off the market because people would be able to afford a car. Now, and by the way, we're going to see how that turns out. But a lot of people agree with me, many people. The car has gotten so expensive because they have computers all over the place for an extra little bit of gasoline.
The computers all over the place.
They got the internet in their car now. It's all over the place.
Because I've given big incentives.
Got the fucking internet in their car now.
Stupid way to say it.
It's just
All right.
crazy.
Vice President Biden, I'd like you to respond.
What do you think
to
about
the
internet in the
president's
cars, Joe?
climate change
Computers
record,
everywhere.
But I also want to ask you about a concern. You proposed $2 trillion in green jobs. You talk about new limits, not abolishing, but new limits on fracking, ending the use of fossil fuels to generate electricity.
Newsom
by
approved more
2035,
fracking, by the way.
And
Oh,
zero
yeah, we
net
talked about
emission of
that.
greenhouse gases
Fucking
by
insane.
2050. The president
Very
says
cool.
a lot of these things would tank the economy and cost millions of jobs.
He's absolutely wrong, number one. Number two, if in fact, during our administration, the Recovery Act, I was in charge, able to bring down the cost of renewable energy to cheaper than or as cheap as coal and gas and oil. Nobody's going to build another
Red Mage, nothing they're
coal-fired
saying makes
plant
any
in America.
sense.
No one's going to build another
This is all
oil-fired
performance.
plant in America. They're going to move to renewable energy, number one. Number two, we're going to make sure that we are able to take the federal fleet and turn it into a fleet that's run on their electric vehicles. Making sure that we can do that, we're going to put 500,000 charging stations and all of the highways that we're going to be building in the future. We're going to build an economy that in fact is going to provide for the ability us to take 4 million buildings and make sure that they in fact are weatherized in a way that in fact they'll emit significantly less gas and oil because the heat will not be going out. There's so many things that we can do now.
The heat will not be going out.
Thousands and thousands of
I know what he's
jobs.
trying
We
to
can
say.
get
It's
to
just he's so
net
bad at saying
zero
it.
in terms of energy production by 2035.
Combustion
not only not
emissions,
costing people jobs,
Or like painting
creating
roofs
jobs,
white, like that's a big
creating
thing
millions
to
of
just like
good-paying
reduce
jobs,
heat generally.
Not $15 an hour.
I think
but
I know what he's trying to
prevailing
say. It's just-
wage by having a new infrastructure that in fact is green. And the first
We
thing
also
I will
need
do,
to
I will rejoin
understand
the Paris
that
Accord. I
the
will join
individual
the
has
Paris
less
Accord because
impact
with
on
us out
carbon
of it, look what's
emissions
happening.
than the
It's
corporate.
all falling
Right.
apart.
Exactly.
And so we need to, we can push electric cars. We can subsidize
but it can't
those.
fall on the consumer. Like, and
it's what they've done for decades.
And he's talking about the Paris Climate Agreement, but he will never bring up that the largest emitters of carbon gases are India and China.
India and China, yeah.
And so, like, we are not going to foot the bill for these two places in which, like, he is unwilling to hold them accountable.
Right. Coming up with $20 billion and say, here's $20 billion. Stop tearing down.
Red Mage is because, like, the cheaper the car is and the more mass-produced it is, the less carbon emission it actually emits. Like, you can't commit yourself, you can't commit suicide in a car anymore. It's impossible.
You have to balance environmental interests and economic interests, and he's drawn his line.
Well, he hadn't drawn a line. He still, for example, makes sure that he wants to make sure that methane's not a problem. You can now emit more methane without it being a problem. Methane. This is a guy who says that you don't have to have mileage standards for automobiles that exist now. This is the guy who says that, well, the fact that it's all true. And here's the deal.
He's talking about the Green New Deal, and it's not $2 billion or $20 billion, as you said. It's $100 trillion.
I'm talking about
where they want to rip down buildings and rebuild the building.
No,
it's the dumbest, most ridiculous. Where airplanes are out of business, where two-car systems are out, where they want to take out the cows too. That's not true either, right? This is a $100 trillion.
Look,
that's more money than our country could make in 100 years if we're
not
going
the case.
All right, let me
destroy our
because I
country.
actually wait a minute, sir. I actually have studied your plan, and it includes upgrading 4 million buildings, weatherizing 2 million homes over 4 years, building 1.5 million energy-efficient homes. So the question becomes: the president is saying, I think some people who support the president would say that sounds like it's going to cost a lot of money and hurt the economy.
What it's going to do is going to create thousands and millions of jobs, good-paying jobs.
Well, let him finish, sir.
He doesn't know how to do that.
Enough, Joe.
The fact
Fucking.
He can't, though.
Good-paying jobs. And these tax incentives to
God.
people,
This is like why Bernie would
he
have
wants to
been able to
get
handle
rid of.
this.
It's going to make the economy much safer.
Imagine,
Look how much
dude.
we're paying
The
now
competency.
to deal with the hurricanes. Deal with. By the way, he has an answer for hurricanes. He
Yeah,
Kate commented that exact thing as
we
we said it.
We didn't see your comment until just now.
That's he did say.
You made it up.
This is why
we are going to be in a position.
I'm not a Trump supporter.
We can
I just want Biden to lose more because they don't deserve to win. They didn't earn the ability to win.
We all are in better shape. We spend billions of dollars on floods, hurricanes, rising seas. We're in real trouble. Look what's happened just in the Midwest with these storms that come through and wipe out entire sections and counties in Iowa. They didn't happen before. They're because of global
Katrina
warming.
definitely fucking happened.
We make up 15% of the world's problem. We, in fact, but the rest of the world, we've got to get them to come along. That's why we have to get back into the Paris Accord.
All right, gentlemen.
Wait a minute, Chris. So why didn't he do it for 47 years? You were vice president. Why didn't you get the world? China sends up real dirt into the air. Russia does. India does. They all do. We're supposed to be good. And by the way, he made a couple of statements. The Green New Deal is $100 trillion.
Stop it. Get off of that.
My plan.
That's
green.
That's a
Go
fucking
back to
fringe
China
part
and
of the thing.
India.
Get off of it.
All right,
If he knew anything about,
He made a statement about the military. He said I said something about the military. He and his friends made it up, and then they went with it. I never said it.
Okay.
That is
what
not
he
true.
did is he
You're done in
said
this segment.
he called the military
Mr. Vice President,
stupid bastards.
I
and he
did
said
not
it on
say
tape.
Oh,
He said,
clap,
stupid
yes.
bastards.
Please,
He
sir.
said it.
Clap for that, you stupid bastard.
Play it.
Go ahead.
He
The
said
Vice
it.
President answered his final question.
The final question is, I can't remember which of all his rantings.
I'm having a little trouble myself, but and about the economy and about this question of what it's going to cost.
The economy.
I mean, the Green New Deal and the idea of what your environmental
Green New
changes
Deal,
will do.
The Green New Deal will pay for itself as we move forward. You're not going to build plants that, in fact, are great polluting plants.
So do you
We're going to
support
build
the Green New Deal?
Pardon me?
You support
No, I don't support the Green New Deal.
You don't? Oh, well, that's a
You
big
let-
statement.
I
That
support
means you
the
just
Biden.
lost the radical left.
I
Oh,
support
you
the
don't.
Biden plan that I put forward.
And this is why Trump
Biden
is
plan,
good,
which is different
because
than
like
what
it is
he
just
calls the
exposing
radical
how much
Green
of a
New Deal.
Republican
Final segment.
Joe Biden is.
Yeah.
Election integrity. As we meet tonight,
Fuck.
millions of
I
Americans
don't
are
support.
receiving mail-in ballots or going to vote early.
Oh,
How
Greg,
confident
get into it.
should we be that this will be a fair election, and what are you prepared to do over the next 5+ weeks, because it'll not only be to Election Day, but also counting some ballots, mail-in ballots after Election Day.
Fuck,
What are you
that's going to be such a
prepared
disaster.
to do to reassure the American people that the next president will be the legitimate winner of this election?
Nobody
In
knows.
this final segment,
Right.
Mr.
Just
Vice President, you go first.
encourage people
Let
to
people vote. They should go to
vote in
iwillvote.com,
person.
Decide how they're going to vote, when they're going to vote, and what means
Safely.
by which they're going to vote.
Yeah, with distance,
His own
clean the fucking
Homeland
machines,
Security
wear a
director,
mask,
as well as the
go do it
FBI
in
director,
person.
Says there is no evidence at all that mail-in ballots
Provide
are a
gloves.
source of being manipulated.
There is
and
no
cheating.
way
They said
that that's
The
true.
fact
Like,
is
there's
that
no
there are gonna be
way.
Millions of people because of COVID.
There's
that are
so
gonna
many
be
variables.
Voting by mail-in ballots, like he does, by the way. He sits behind the Resolute desk and sends his ballot to Florida. Number one. Number two, We're going to make sure that those people who want to vote in person are able to vote because enough poll watchers are there to make sure they can socially distance. The polls are open on time, and the polls stay open until the votes are counted. And this is all about trying to dissuade people from voting because he's trying to scare people into thinking that it's not going to be legitimate.
Whoa.
Show up and vote.
Greg,
you will
thank you.
determine the outcome of this election. Vote, vote, vote. If you're able to vote early in your state, vote early. If you're able to vote in person, vote in person.
Wow.
Vote whatever way is the best way for you, because he cannot stop you
Why, Greg?
from being able to determine the outcome of this election. And in terms of whether or not when the votes are counted, and they're all counted, that will be accepted. If I win, that will be accepted. If I lose, that'll be accepted. But by the way, if in fact he says he's not sure what he's going to accept, well, let me tell you something. It doesn't matter. Because if we get the votes,
like I said,
it's going to be all over.
Hillary Clinton did not accept her loss for 4 years.
She wrote a book about it.
Yes.
Vote. Just make sure you understand. You have it in your control to determine what this country is going to look like the next 4 years. Is it going to change? Or
Del Reese, because I hope I'm saying your name right, because he knows it's fucked up and it's ammunition and it's wrong and it's personal. That's why he won't answer it.
A transition. There's been no transition from when I won. I won that election. And if you look at crooked Hillary Clinton, if you look at all of the different people, there was no transition because they came after me trying to do a coup. They came after me spying on my campaign. They started from the day I won and even before I won. From the day I came down the escalator with our First Lady, they were a disaster. They were a disgrace to our country. And we've caught them. We've caught them all. We've got it all on tape. We've caught them all. And by the way, you gave the idea for the Logan Act against General Flynn. You better take a look at that because we caught you in a sense. And President Obama was sitting in the office. He knew about it too. So don't tell me about a free transition. As far as the ballots are concerned, it's a disaster. A solicited ballot, okay, solicited is okay. You're soliciting, you're asking, they send it back, you send it back. I did that. If you have an unsolicited, they're sending millions of ballots all over the country. There's fraud. They found them in creeks. They found some with the name Trump, just happened to have the name Trump just the other day in a waste paper basket. They're being sent all over the place. They sent two
it's
in
impossible
a Democrat area. They sent out
to say
1,000 ballots.
To say that there is no
this
possibility
is,
is insane.
like you've never seen. The other thing, it's nice on November 3rd, you're watching and you see who won the election. And I think we're going to do well because people are really happy with the job we've done. But you know what? We won't know. We might not know for months because these ballots are going to be all over.
Biden should have done this like he did with Paul Ryan, where you just sit back and laugh and act relaxed and not upset. But this fucking orange asshole knows how to get under his skin.
Won or lost with that. They're losing 30 and 40%. It's a fraud and it's a shame. And can you imagine where they say, you have to have your ballot in by November 10th. November 10th. That means that's 7 days after the election, in theory, should have been announced.
Okay.
We have major states with that.
Sir,
all run by Democrats.
2 minutes is 2 minutes.
All run by Democrats. It's
President Trump,
it's a rigged election.
You're going to be able to continue. You have been charging for months that mail-in balloting is going to be a disaster. You say it's rigged, that it's going to lead to fraud. But in 2018, in the last midterm election, 31 million people voted mail-in voting. That was a quarter, more than a quarter of all the voters that year cast their ballots by mail. Now that millions of mail-in ballots have gone out, what are you going to do about it? And are you counting on the Supreme Court, including a Justice Barrett, to settle any dispute?
Yeah, I think I'm counting on them to look at the ballots, definitely.
Of course.
I don't think I hope we don't need them in terms of the election itself. But for the ballots, I think so. Because what's happening is incredible. I read today, where at least 1% of the ballots for 2016 were invalidated. They take them, we don't like them, we don't like them.
But what
they
are you
throw
going to
them
do
out
about it?
left
If there are
right.
millions of ballots going out
What
right
you
now,
do
what
is
are
you
gonna
go
do?
and vote. You do a solicited ballot,
No,
and that's
I'm
okay,
not, I know
or
your
you go and
complaint.
vote.
I'm asking you about the fact that millions of people
You go and vote. You go and vote,
but
like
what I'm
they
saying is, what are you gonna do
used
about
to
the
in
fact
the
that
old.
millions of people.
You either do, Chris, a solicited ballot where you're sending it in, they're sending it back, and you're sending. They have mailmen with lots of it. Did you see what's going on? Take a look at West Virginia, mailmen selling the ballots. They're being sold. They're being dumped in rivers. This is a horrible thing.
I didn't think
for
he'd bring
our
up the
country.
Veritas
This
thing.
is not.
This is
not going to end well.
There is
Okay.
no
This
evidence
is
of
not
that.
going to
President
end well.
Biden,
5 states.
in fact,
Dude, I am
go
so
ahead.
scared
ballots
for November
for the
3rd.
last decade or more. 5, including 2 Republican states. And you don't have to solicit the ballot. It's sent to you. It's sent to your home. What they're saying is that it has to be a postmark by the time, by election day. If it doesn't get in till the 7th, 8th, 9th, it still should be counted. He's just afraid of counting the votes.
No, we're scared for the fucking fabric of this whole country.
Vice President Biden,
Chris, he's so wrong when he makes a statement like that.
Excuse me. Vice President Biden, the biggest problem, in fact, over the years with mail-in voting has not been fraud historically. It has been that sizable numbers, sometimes hundreds of thousands of ballots are thrown out because they have not been properly filled out, or there is some other irregularity, or they missed the deadline. So the question I have is, are you concerned that the Supreme Court with a Justice Barrett will settle any dispute?
I'm concerned that any court would settle this, because here's the deal. When you get a ballot and you fill it out, you're supposed to have an affidavit. If you didn't know, you have someone say that this is me. You should be able to, if in fact you can verify that's you before the ballot is thrown out, that's sufficient to be able to count the ballot because someone made a mistake and not dotting the correct I. Who they voted for, testify, say who they voted for, say it's you, that is totally legitimate.
All right.
Excuse me, Chris, when you have 80 million ballots
I have a final
sending
question.
and swamping the system, you know it can't be done. You know it can't. And
He's right.
already
All
there's
right.
been
So now,
fraud,
Mail service
deception.
I mean,
gentlemen, in the
85
final
million
question
mail a
is,
day.
in 8
ballots.
states, we can keep talking. In 8 states,
disgrace.
election workers are prohibited, currently by law, 8 states, from even beginning to process ballots, even take them out of the envelopes and flatten them until Election Day. That means that it's likely, because there's going to be a huge increase in mail-in balloting, that we are not going to know on election night who the winner is, that it could be days, it could be weeks,
could be months,
until we find out who the new president is. So first for you, sir, finally for the vice president, I hope neither of you will interrupt the other. Will you urge your supporters to stay calm during this extended period, not to engage in any civil unrest, and will you pledge tonight that you will not declare victory until the election has been independently certified? President Trump, you go first.
I'm urging my supporters to go into the polls and watch very carefully, because that's what has to happen. I am urging them to do it. As you know, today there was a big problem. In Philadelphia, they went in to watch. They're called poll watchers, a very safe, very nice
Please, just
thing.
answer this question,
They were thrown out.
please.
They weren't allowed to watch. You know why? Because bad things happen in Philadelphia, bad things.
Please answer the
And
question.
I am urging my people. I hope it's going to be a fair election. If it's a fair
You're urging
election,
them what?
I am 100% on board. But if I see tens of thousands of
He
ballots
does that
being
jilted thing with the way
manipulated,
like
I can't
he
go
doesn't
along
say
with that.
certain words.
And I'll
Like
tell you
you
what,
need to
Is
be
that from a
very
common law?
give
Does
the
that mean
affirmative,
I'll tell you what
retard.
it means. It means you have a fraudulent election. You're
And what
sending
are you
out
gonna do?
80 million ballots.
no.
They're not equipped to. These people aren't equipped to handle it.
Say it,
Number one.
stupid.
Number two, they cheat. They cheat. Hey, they found ballots in a waste paper basket.
Say it.
3 days
Fucking
ago,
say it,
and
stupid.
they
Yeah, I
all
don't
had
know
the
if he's
name
going to,
military
Bones.
ballots. They were military. They all had the name Trump on them.
Vice President
You think
Biden,
that's good?
Vice President Biden, final question for you. Will you urge your supporters to stay calm while the vote is counted, and will you pledge not to declare
They'll just say
victory
yes.
until the election is independently certified?
Yes, and here's the deal. They count the ballots, as you pointed out. Some of these ballots in some states can't even be opened until Election Day. And if there's thousands of ballots, it's going to take time to do it. And by the way, our military, they've been voting by ballots since at the end of the Civil War, in effect. And that's what's going to happen. Why was it not? Why is it for them somehow not fraudulent? It's the same process. It's honest. No one has established at all that there is fraud related to mail-in ballots. That somehow it's a fraudulent
It's an
process.
operative word, fraud.
Take a look at Carolyn Maloney's race.
I
and
asked you had an opportunity
look
to
at Carolyn
respond.
Maloney.
Go ahead.
They have no idea what
Vice
happened.
President Biden, go ahead.
He has no idea what he's talking about. Here's the deal. The fact is, I will accept it, and he will too. You know why? Because once the winner is declared after all the ballots are counted, all the votes are counted, that'll be the end of it. That'll be the end of it. And if it's me, in fact, fine. If it's not me, I'll support the outcome. And I'll be a president not just for the Democrats. I'll be a president for Democrats and Republicans. And this guy,
I want to see an honest ballot count.
Gentlemen, you say that's the end of it? This is the end of this debate?
Honest ballot count.
We're going to leave it there. To be continued as in more debates as we go on. President Trump, Vice President Biden, it's been an interesting hour and a half. I want to thank you both for participating in the first of 3 debates that you have agreed to engage in. We want to thank Case Western Reserve University and the Cleveland Clinic for hosting this event. The next debate, sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates, will be 1 week from tomorrow, October 7th, at the University of Utah.
It's a Wednesday.
In Salt Lake City. The 2 vice presidential nominees, Vice President Mike Pence and Senator Kamala Harris.
Are we going to watch the VP debates?
That night. We hope you watch.
I want to see Kamala.
Then,
I do too.
Thank you.
I've never heard Pence really
just want to
speak
see if anything weird
extensively.
happens.
Thank you.
Interruptions, accusations, and at times chaos. The moderator,
All
Chris
right.
Wallace, pleading with President Trump to stop interrupting.
Okay, enough of that. I have to be so bad. I think I might burst.
Yeah, so Trump won, technically, but, like, what does winning mean, right?
Because we all lose.
Because we all lose, but, like, also, that last question is going to be the thing that gets, he just should have said yes.
Stand fucking down.
Yeah,
dude.
like, because...
No civil unrest.
I don't think he understands what he's playing with in terms of the chaos with this, and so...
That'll make... This sparked the idea for people on the left... Him saying that, Trump saying that, sparked the idea for people on the left to engage in civil unrest.
Right. But what I think what sucks, though, is the truth is that either outcome is going to start violence.
Yeah.
And I think the mail-in ballot thing is a fucking mistake because, like, the problem is, like, what the left is running with is, like, this operative word fraud. Fraud is, like, what matters. But it's like, again, Chris Wallace brought up that thing of, like, they get thrown out if they're not filled out a very specific way. And most of this country is effectively retarded. So it's like, go in person. Go do it in person. Like, it's like, if you're super fucking elderly, get an absentee ballot. Like, I still get them mailed to me, but I still go in and do it. Like, it's not that hard to sign up for that. It's probably too late now, unfortunately. But, yeah, like, okay. So to anybody who's new... I want to make it very clear because it probably wasn't clear who I was cheering for. I said it while they were talking, but I want to say it very clearly now. I do not like Trump. I hate Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I don't hate Joe Biden, actually. I hate Kamala Harris. But the Democrats have done everything to destroy candidates that I actually care about because their craven quest for power is so intense that you could every attack against Trump for the last 4 years has been so utterly transparent for what they're trying to accomplish that to me, him winning is good simply for the reality that it has dredged up so much shit into the public of what the Democrats get up to and what the Republicans get up to. So if Biden wins, it'll be the same shit happening behind closed doors. You just won't hear about it anymore. Mm-hmm. So, so the argument that I can get behind if you're a super hardcore Biden supporter is that I am exhausted. That debate exhausted me. I don't watch Trump talk every day because I know it'll fucking wear me out. So if you watch him every day because you're that deranged and you're that much of a masochist, then do it. And I get that argument. I get you're tired. But dude, so much stuff and so much transparency about the fucking banana republic we live in has been brought up to the surface and now has had a hardcore light shine on it.
Absolutely.
So that is why I want Trump to win again.
Yeah.
But I ain't voting for him.
Right.
So, that's what any of my enthusiasm was about. And, plus, him bringing up the 94 crime bill, these kinds of things. Biden needs to face his record. Mm-hmm. Which is the antithesis of everything he claims to stand for now.
He's been denying that it ever even happened, but we have just public record on everything he's voted on.
Right.
And written. So it's embarrassing to see him completely deny his history.
Right.
And
so,
his impact on the country. He's acting as if he hasn't touched anything.
Yeah, and it was great for Trump to
Anything
keep saying
bad, that
47
is.
years, 47 years.
Yeah.
Like you have like where were you? Because like the reality is like whatever damage Trump could do in 4 years could not undo 47 years. I mean, it's impossible. So that's kind of where it sits. Trump won, but he's going to probably get coached to shut the fuck up next time a little bit, because like if he had not interrupted, he still would have had the same effect and probably would have been more effective.
It would have been stronger. Yeah.
I was surprised that Biden was this bad.
It was shocking.
Yeah.
Embarrassing. I mean, like, I expected him to be bad, but the inability to keep up, it was a little much.
Yeah, thank you, Greg. I dressed up for this occasion.
You're very cute.
That's
all I have.
That's all I got
and
to.
I have to go.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah,
dude.
so do I. All right, goodbye, everybody.
Love you guys.
We'll
see you next time.
All right, goodbye.
See ya.